I'm almost done making my little.
So it's not like you're trying to hit the bullseye. I mean, they're in two different states, right?
Well, how do you know
Yes.
it's not deflection?
What is the official beam divergence?
Well, it's a distribution. It's not exactly a. Fairly
distribution,
wide distribution,
right?
But
yeah, from Illinois to South Dakota, straight line.
You don't pronounce the S in the Illinois.
Illinois.
Oh, I do. But
a lot of people get mad at you for that.
All
right.
So
that's why we don't go there.
I just cooked up a very, very simple.
It's 800 miles from one to the other.
Let us say that in this case, the Earth is actually flat, and they built this and did this experiment while the Earth is flat. And let us say also that the beam divergence is very large to maybe account for the particles reaching from the source to the detector. You can see, again, the very, very crude model that I made here.
What okay, hold on. It's an experiment, right?
So what is the thing? Hold on.
Are you going to ask what's the control?
Yes.
Hold on, guys.
I want to know what you're varying here.
Well, hold on. I have a question about the divergence that you
The experiment part is actually.
Why is it one-sided? Why is it not even on both sides in distribution? Like divergence would logically imply it to be. It would be a fan, not half a fan.
I thought I did make a fan. I don't.
All on a downward level, it would propagate both ways. It'd open up just like your field of view from the source.
I would think it would make just like Gaussian distribution, like an area.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. The main point of this graph this plot that I made here, is that the incoming angle to that detector will never be at an upward angle. At most, it'll be a downward angle, or at a right.
Well, that could be.
Angle.
That can be because of.
But it would never actually come from. It would never actually come from an upward angle, like we see in reality.
Dude, it doesn't matter.
The only way that you get that upward angle.
It's a ghost particle. It can hit the detector from the side or from behind. It'll still register.
Well, the particle still travels in a straight line. That's the thing.
All you're registering are flashes of light in a pure water.
I thought you. Listen, I thought you said on a flat Earth it wouldn't come in at an upward angle like it's supposed to.
Well, like it does, yeah.
I can go back to life. Yeah, well, you just contradicted that.
Huh?
I don't know how you're measuring the angle of arrival.
You said a downward angle.
I've talked to Goldsteel about this, who claimed he worked at the Japanese, however he said, whatever. Yes, that's where he says he worked. And I asked him the same question: how do you get angle of arrival? So,
well, that's a different. That's a bit of a different experiment. The detector is arranged a little bit differently. It's, if you want, I can go over how that one measures the angle. It's actually maybe a little bit more simple. Yeah.
So you're measuring. Listen, you're detecting Cherenkov radiation, right?
In that one, yes.
What are you detecting in yours?
In Super K, you detect Cherenkov radiation mostly.
Yeah, I'm talking about the MINOS.
MINOS, I believe that's scintillating radiation. It's very similar. I believe some of it's probably Cherenkov, but there's a whole bunch of different ways that a particle can emit light when interacting with a material, depending on the energy of that particle and the material it's interacting with.
Don't know how it's actually being detected.
Yeah, with the Dune.
Well, I mean, it's detected the way any radiation is detected. That it deposits some amount of energy in matter, and that energy is in some way converted to light. That light is then collected and then recorded.
The Dune near sand detector. Yeah.
Right.
That's I believe being built right now. That's the successor to MINOS.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's sort of an upgraded version. I think it's even over a longer distance.
What are the 3 subdetectors?
I don't know. I'm not involved in that project.
What were you varying? What was the...
You wanted to know what the actual experiment part is. So the experiment part is... so what the experiment is mainly looking for, not the curvature of the Earth. That was just an unintended consequence. But neutrinos have a strange property where they can oscillate back and forth between 3 different varieties of neutrinos. This, I believe, was discovered in 2009 at a bit of a surprise.
What does that mean exactly? Oscillate between 3 different types?
2009. I thought it was earlier than that.
It's a plate.
There are 3 different types of neutrinos. We call them flavors because physicists are funny like that. And
Vanilla,
depending on what kind of flavor it is, it will interact with material in a slightly different way. And what was discovered was that... yeah?
I got a question, okay. If physicists study physics, which is the study of physical things, then how is the study of non-physical things physics? Is it because you guys say it's subatomic particles? Doesn't atom mean
it's a physical thing? I mean, it
get?
I mean, we're all made up of small bits just stacked together, right? You can't have a Lego house without some Legos, right?
That's not answering my question.
So my understanding of this neutrino flavor thing was that something about the detection of solar neutrinos was screwed up.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're referencing. It's the solar neutrino problem.
So it wouldn't falsify the theory.
Helium-4 neutrinos?
That's my understanding. It was another ad hoc hypothesis.
So the 3 types of neutrinos are electron neutrinos, muon neutrinos, and tau neutrinos, which are sort of the corresponding to electrons, muons, and taus. You all probably know what electrons are. Muons are heavier versions of those, and taus are even heavier versions of those.
What's an electron?
An electron is
I want your definition of an electron.
Prove it. What's the difference between an electron and a photon? And why do they use an electron to say that a photon behaves like an electron?
Okay, this is a lot of questions. Very good questions.
Oh, okay. I mean,
to start, an electron is a point of mass with a -1 electrical charge and a 1/2 spin. These properties explain how they interact with the matter.
That's really
I'm literally not reading anything in front of me right now.
Okay.
I work on the electron-ion collider. I know this stuff by heart.
Yeah, you just haven't memorized, but what is it? Okay. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, again, an electron is a point of mass that carries electrical charge and spin and mass.
A point of mass.
That we know of, yes.
Not mass. Point of mass. And what is mass here? Okay, so what's the definition of mass, and what is point of mass?
Okay, mass. There's actually 2 types of mass. There's inertial mass and gravitational mass. Gravitational mass means how much this particle is attracted to other particles based on how much mass it has. And inertial mass means how quickly it will accelerate when a force is applied to it. So, you can apply an electric field to an electron and it will speed up. And that rate at which it will speed up depends on how much mass that particle had.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so electrons.
Oh, and a point of mass. Yes, you asked a point of mass. As far as we can measure right now, electrons do not seem to have a measurable size. Essentially, the higher and higher resolution you look at them, they seem to not have a definite diameter.
Okay. Oh, keep going. I'm sorry. I'll get back to that.
No, I mean that's essentially it. They don't seem to have any diameter or substructure. They don't seem to be made of anything else.
What do you? So what are you looking at? If there's nothing, there's no structure that you're looking at.
Right, it's a point of mass that can move and deposit energy around.
Point of mass. Man, my imagination is failing me. Point of it really is.
If you want a more mathematical definition, it's a Dirac delta function.
No. That's too deep into Narnia. Okay, I want to understand. Okay. Yeah, because you can always make math about Narnia. It's fine, and you can prove Narnia correct with the division by 0. And we never covered that yet. Remember Big Bang? We'll get to that shit. However, the electron, the point. So electrons, do they have rest mass?
Yeah. Yes, they do have a rest mass.
Okay. So it's a piece of matter.
You could describe it as that, yeah.
Subatomic piece of matter, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, see that I can understand.
I would agree with that definition.
That has a negative charge. I mean, issues that.
Yes, it has a negative charge. Although the fact that we call it negative is a bit of a arbitrary. We could call it positive, and then
just the other way.
Negative.
Yeah.
It's the opposite charge of an ion.
Cool, I get it. Just polarity sort of thing. That's fine.
Sure, but yeah. So that's what we observe as an electron. These tiny bits of matter that have a certain electrical charge and a certain mass and a certain spin too. That's another property that often gets overlooked because they seem to have an amount of angular momentum that they can't get rid of.
The spin? Well, I'm not sure.
That's a weird part.
We can't see the electron, but we can see the spin of the electron?
This isn't traditional spin like you spin a top. Basically, it explains how it moves in magnetic fields. Because the fact that an electron has spin means that it sort of acts like a very tiny bar magnet. So it has a north end and a south end, for lack of a better term.
Okay. And it favors one side.
And it will deflect differently in a magnetic field based on how it's oriented. Yeah.
I gotcha. So it's based on the focusing magnetic field that you're using to play with.
Yeah, it depends on the
electron beam or particle.
Yeah, and that's actually that's a big thing about the collider that we're making. This will be, I believe, the first one with a polarized electron beam hitting a polarized ion beam. So it's a very controlled experiment. Yes.
Interesting. And what do you guys make out of that?
Well, we collide the two together, and it creates a whole zoo of different kinds of particles, but the main purpose is to sort of recreate what happened in that collision and reconstruct what that ion
what collision
looked like at that moment. Perhaps I'm I'm jumping around topics here.
That's fine.
Again, my area of research is about an experiment called the electron-ion collider, where we collide electrons with ions to discover what the internal structure of a proton is. Because while it doesn't seem like electrons have an internal structure, we do know that protons do.
So electrons are hollow.
We only have not hollow.
I'll subscribe to that. J.J. Thompson, I'll subscribe to that. There's different ideas, but it doesn't matter. Him and Rutherford.
I have not.
The electron.
I have
the electron.
Rutherford.
Rutherford. Yeah. Okay.
Well, there's currently not any evidence that the electron has a diameter in the classical sense. But it's
no diameter.
Yeah, I know. It's quantum mechanics is weird, man. It's weird, but it works.
I know. I look, bro. I know
there is a listed electron radius. Though.
As I said, it doesn't have a classical radius. There is a radius that you can sort of use to describe how it's
per radius, per unit radius, like
classic
inverse radius.
Okay.
As I remember a few years ago reading, they measured the electron radius, that it was a perfect, quote unquote, perfect sphere. The article was something like, the electron really is a perfect sphere, or something like that.
Okay, that's a little misleading. What they mean is that it has spherical symmetry and that it acts the same depending on no matter where you look at it.
Do you have a picture of one?
But
no.
That would like, do you know what it would mean to have a picture of one? It would mean that you'd have to shine light on it.
It would mean that you have shit to back your claim with. It would mean you'd have shit to back your claim with. Something.
I didn't know that we were getting feisty here.
I'm just fucking around, dude.
But
he's spicy. Yeah.
I do get spicy.
Spicy.
It's a lot
I don't mean any harm.
What I'm trying to say is that when you shine light onto an electron, it doesn't interact in the same way that macroscopic objects do.
What happens to the light?
So it will get scattered according to the laws of quantum mechanics. So some of the light will continue going forward, some of it will get bounced back, and there's a nice little formula that you can use to approximate exactly how this will happen. It's called the Born approximation. I just had to study it pretty hard recently.
So you can see the scatter, but you could never see.
Yeah, I want to be specific. Are these laws of quantum theory? Are they quantum theory laws?
Well, they're yes.
Yes or no? Yes.
Observe that they're working. They work. When we actually do the experiment, they work really well.
They work.
They give us a prediction on how light will get scattered when we shine an electron on it. You can do the experiment, and it'll agree. And no other model that I know of will make that precise of a prediction.
Yeah, that's not scientific. It's comparing models.
I mean, that's a big part of what science is. You test different models and put them up against each other.
Theoretical science,
on that,
quantitative. It's not.
Science is
getting at is you can have multiple models that make the same predictions, and like which one is true,
what
right?
I said was that
the arbitrary choice.
What I said is that I don't think. What I said is that I
could build a model to match
seen any other model that predicts this behavior.
Well, give me your model. I'll match it with.
I think there was the Rutherford model before that, right?
Well, I explained that.
Yes.
The board. So, in quantum mechanics, as long as you're dealing with things far below the speed of light, there is an equation that accurately seems to describe how these particles move about and interact with our detectors. That's the Schrödinger equation.
What kind of? Okay. What kind of detectors are you?
So is that equation a law, or is that one of the laws you speak of that's actually just an equation?
You said the same thing twice, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a probability equation.
Yeah. No, it tells you what the probability of finding a particle at a certain spot is at a certain time.
It does. Stated as it is, you don't have to glorify it. If you have to glorify it to make it true, then it's probably not worth talking about.
What am I glorifying?
Laws of quantum theory?
I don't see how I'm glorifying it. I'm just saying that it works. It gives us a prediction of how often we should find certain particles at certain places, and it seems to be accurate.
Yeah, you state it as if it's a scientific law, like we observe it the exact same way every time, in the same medium, under the same circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, it gives us a prediction on how often we should see certain things. Yeah. Nothing else has given us a more accurate... I mean, hey, if you have a theory that tells us in a non-statistical way, I would be so excited to hear that. That would be amazing. But so far, I don't think anyone has uncovered such a thing.
Yeah, in quantum,
right now, the best thing we have is quantum.
Why is that? Because we can't actually observe 90% of what we're talking about or quantify it, right?
Sure we can. That's what particle detectors are for. One of you, I believe, in the
you
chat was
act like
asking about how do we detect
observed
electrons.
Every particle in the universe.
No, I know how to.
Be true.
Electrons, X-rays, all that stuff. I can detect them just fine at home. It's
pretty easy to build a little. It's pretty easy to build a homemade particle detector to see electrons and.
However, the stuff that you're working on, what are you like? What kind of detectors are? What kind of detectors are you getting?
Well, actually, on my project specifically, we actually can't detect neutrinos. We don't have a big enough detector for that. What we can detect are pretty much all the other types of particles.
Well, I can do that too. That's not cool.
All the known.
How do you detect neutrinos, though?
How do you detect neutrinos?
Yeah, like the physical, like the material of the detector itself. Like, how do you detect them?
Well, you have to go underground because
Well, there's several different ways you can go about doing it.
Okay. I can, like, for X-rays, you can use a phosphorus screen. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty simple. Electrons, you can use the same thing. Phosphorus screen. Nothing
liquid
fancy.
argon is, I believe, is commonly used to detect neutrinos. So is very purified water.
Very what?
Neutrino
I'm sorry?
Water. Just purified water.
Purified water. Interesting.
Yeah, that's what the Super K experiment uses.
How do you... Okay, explain to me the water detector. Both, please.
Yes. So in the Super K detector, it's a very, very large vat of water, and it is surrounded by what are essentially very, very sensitive cameras. They're called photomultipliers.
Tubes?
And what
you guys are using photomultiplier tubes?
Yes. Yes. That's
wow. You're using a photomultiplier. Wow, you guys are fucking classic. I thought you'd be using some advanced... What the fuck?
Now
photomultipliers? Hold on now.
Well, nowadays, for modern experiments, in the more recent years, we're going to be using silicon photomultipliers, which are a lot smaller and starting to get to be a bit cheaper.
Interesting. Bro, send me one, please. Snag one out. Bro, please. Those are expensive.
They are very pricey, but...
listen, if one kind of goes out of commission or something, remember, I'm Cyrus down here in the panel. Please just DM me and we will work something out, okay?
Hey, look, we are...
I'm just saying.
Our lab is actually creating a lot of prototypes right now for silicon photomultipliers. If I ever am able to get a hold of an extra...
Isn't that called...
bro, I have quartz glass and stuff like that. I'm working on some tubes of my own, so if you... Whatever trash you guys produce, I will actually purchase from you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for real. Yeah.
Sure.
Yep, for real. Like, here,
okay. I'll keep that in mind.
Okay, awesome. You guys actually make tubes and
But for the photomultiplier, for the Super K experiment, they use photomultiplier tubes. I've actually gotten to work with photomultiplier tubes before, but not on that experiment. So going back to the experiment, where was I? Yes. So what happens, or what seems to happen, at least I can say, is that when a neutrino enters the water, most of the time it will just pass right through. But every now and then, it will interact with the water, strike one of the water molecules, and it will let out a cone of light, known as Cherenkov light. That's, I believe, someone in the chat just posted that.
Cone of light.
So yes, it's sort of like it's like a sonic boom,
detector, but so you don't actually detect the neutrino. You detect the light that you say is emitted from the interaction.
That's how you detect
the interaction.
Sure, that's how you detect anything. I mean, if you take a photo,
you're not even
taking a photo of the light, right?
You're not detecting the light from the neutrino. You're detecting a light from
the hydrogen or the water plasma. Or is it?
So the neutrino's decaying into something else, isn't it?
Yeah, it's from the interaction.
So the neutrino interacts with the weak nuclear force, right? This is how this works. Interacts with the nucleus with the weak nuclear force,
Okay.
And light is emitted
off a muon.
Muon, yes.
So and then
it
that
can become a muon,
is accelerated faster than the speed of light in the medium, and that lets off Cherenkov radiation, and then that is detected.
You got it.
And inferred to be evidence
we've done this
of a neutrino.
Yeah, that's what we would observe it as. Yeah,
based on projections of quantifications.
Okay,
that's the word you just said.
Well, I mean, that's what you base it. There'll be so many. Listen, the fact that they're going to interact is a statistical probability. We already covered that. It's modeled.
So my water bottle.
So Cherenkov postulated what?
Your water is
Cherenkov postulated what? Small. The light.
Really?
From the interaction, right? Based on the probability of interaction.
Yeah, this is just an observed phenomenon when you get a beam.
So we found the light, we didn't actually observe the neutrino, right? And it was a predicted thing through probability, so we assume that, yes, we're looking at what we thought we looked at. What we thought we were going to see.
Actually, this brings up a very interesting experiment from before Super K of how we realized that neutrinos actually make this. Way back when we were suspecting that neutrinos might exist, we didn't know for certain. We suspected that if neutrinos did exist, they would be generated in large quantities in nuclear power plants.
Yep.
Just the radiation that emerges from there would also generate a lot of neutrinos. So what they did is they put up one of these a similar detector next to a nuclear power plant, surrounded it in lots and lots of concrete to shield it from all the types of radiation we already knew about, and then they turned on and off the reactor and saw that even with all this concrete separating them, there still seemed to be particles that would seep through and interact with the detector, and that was the first evidence that there is a new type of particle that is able to pass through large amounts of matter.
What university did that?
Oh, I'd have to check one second.
University of California, Fred Rines.
So okay, so the emitter. How do you generate neutrinos? And you said my water bottle is too small. I would need like an enormous tank. That's the
yes?
Okay. An enormous.
You need both an enormous tank and also a very intense source.
Okay. So
the main way to create neutrinos, the main way to make neutrinos is via nuclear decay. So anytime a particle decays into another particle, a neutrino is emitted in the process. That is what we observe, at least.
So is that how your emitter works? You guys like decay on hand, shoot the neutrino?
Yeah, we
measured the radioactive decay of germanium.
What I believe Minos does in particular is they start with a beam of I believe protons, just stable protons, collide them into a target, and this creates a whole shower of different kinds of particles. Some of them which are unstable. I believe one of these
like
types
an angle
is a pion.
An angle target, or what kind of sort
just
of like
a solid, like a solid piece of lead.
Okay. So it's sort of like an X-ray tube, sort of, but not really.
Sort of. I mean, it's something that the
tapered anode
too hard.
Yeah. But is it smacking on an angle though? Because that's how we create X-rays with electrons.
What I do know is that after it creates a whole bunch of these different kinds of particles, it enters a region with a strong magnetic field, and different types of particles will bend at different rates depending on the type of particle it is.
Magnetic filter. I see. So you filter them out magnetically? Magnetic.
Yes, and so they filter out the specific type of particle that are known as pions. And pions are have a very short lifetime. They exist for some time, and then they radioactively decay. So what they essentially do is they send them down a long beam pipe, wait for them to decay, and when they do, a neutrino will just keep going in that direction.
Okay, wow. I just learned something.
It's
nice. I like.
It's a really clever process that they do. But yeah, that's how Minos does it. I'm not entirely sure how Super Kate does it. And I know there's some other similar experiments, but I imagine it's a similar process.
One day, I promise you, a dude in his garage will come up with a tabletop device. They'll do the same thing you guys are doing for a fraction of the cost, and he'll fucking embarrass you. That's just the truth. That's just
impressive.
No, that's just nature. That's just the way of the world, man. Remember computers? Yeah?
True.
Exactly.
What I would say is that in order for such a device to exist, it would need to be extremely dense.
Bro. Oh, sure. Yes, I'm with you. It'll be packed. Or a new
super dense, and it would also still have to be transparent.
Or a new method. He might come up with a tube that he can fucking generate these things somehow electrically. I don't know. Do you know Philo Farnsworth?
The name sounds familiar.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm not sure.
He was working on interesting tubes. The cathode ray tube, bro. That's his.
CRT, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know that. That was the first evidence of electrons being a thing at all.
That's Mr. Philo. I'm not sure if they gave him credit for it or someone else, but we all know it depends. You know, there's patent wars.
Well, a big thing that was involved in the discovery of electrons was the Millikan oil drop experiment. Are you familiar with that one?
No, walk me through it.
I actually had to do that one as an undergrad. It's a very tedious experiment. What you do is you have a little spray bottle that sprays very fine oil drops, and then you expose them to a radioactive source that shoots out beta radiation, which is electrons. It shoots out at electrons.
And what's your source material? What's your radioactive source?
I don't remember what it is. I don't think it matters too much as long as it emits beta radiation.
Okay, cool. Done.
And what will happen is that occasionally these very fine oil drops will absorb an electron from this radioactive source. And you suspend these oil drops in an electric field because now they're charged, and you'll be able to suspend them as long as you want, as long as you control that electric field. And then what you do is you turn on and off the electric field to see the rate at which this oil drop will rise and fall. And doing that, you can determine what the electric charge on that oil drop is. And if you do this many, many times over, in my case, 8 hours, you find that the amount of charge on these oil drops comes in discrete quantities. Like you see a bump at one point, and then a second bump, a third bump, and they're all evenly spaced. And if electric charge was continuous, like if you could have half of an electron charge, you would expect this to be a smooth distribution, but it's very bumpy, and that proves, or essentially proves, I should say, to keep myself consistent, that electric charge is quantized in some way, and that
quantized in space, like where location.
It means that like you can't ever have half of an electric charge. You can only have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
you can't have half.
I see. Like a whole number, sort of. Yeah,
it's like a hole. Yeah, exactly. You can't dig half a hole.
Yep. Yeah. No half electrons. No.
Nope.
Oh, actually, I found. If you want to see it, I actually found my graph that I made as an undergrad. So this is my own personal data.
Post it, man. Yep.
Yeah. It's not perfectly accurate. The
so does it imply
line up?
Does that imply electrons don't break down?
And your contraption, your electric charge DC, I'm assuming, of course, or no?
Well, we're not dealing with current, so DC would be direct current. This is a stationary charge, so it's electrostatics.
Okay, I'm sorry. So yeah, statics, right. Well, yeah. That's it. If you have
you see the very pronounced to create an electric field.
We just use a big capacitor plate for that.
Yeah, the few thousand volts.
Yeah, okay. How many volts are you pulling?
Oh gosh, I don't remember how many volts it's at. I'd have to go back and look at the experiment. It's not too many because it's literally only one electric charge, so it does not take much.
One electric charge.
Yes. But yeah, so you can clearly see the bumps that correspond to one electron, two electrons, three. So, well, an electron volt is actually not a unit of voltage; it's a unit of energy. It's the amount of energy it takes to move an electron across 1 volt of potential.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other thing. But yeah, no. So that's a really interesting experiment. Again, very tedious. I had to
pulse it.
I had to go in at 8 a.m. Yeah, I had to go in at 8 a.m. and record oil drops in the dark for like 4 hours over 2 days.
And your detectors, what?
Talk about the Millikan oil drop test.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever read the original paper?
I'm not sure if I read the original one.
It's like the
original one was flawed. It's actually an interesting
you could say that. That's why I was bringing it up. It's so funny, and it's almost like
it's a very important lesson in unconscious bias.
So what happened?
Well, that's not even it. Just like the way it's written is just like ew.
Yeah.
Looks like it's written by I did not read the original.
I'm actually
paper, but
I'm reading
for those of you who are unfamiliar. For those of you unfamiliar with the story, Millikan had a theory for how what the electric charge of an electron should be. He had an idea of what it should be, and he designed this experiment to see if that was true or not. However, while he was designing this experiment, as he was calibrating it, he was anytime he got a result during calibration that was very far from his expected value, he would discard it and continue modifying and adjusting it until it started giving him results that he expected. And because of this, the results that he published are fairly different than the accepted results nowadays. But yeah, it's an important lesson on unconscious bias and how it could influence an experiment.
The force of any electric charge in an electric field is equal to the product of the charge in the electric field.
Oh, I see. Okay, so your plates are. I see where the charge plates are now.
Yeah, it's literally inside of a capacitor.
Right. Yeah.
But
and atmospheric pressure.
Yeah. At the pressure, you record whatever the pressure is, and you'll factor that into the math later. It will depend on what the atmospheric pressure is.
Yeah, sure. But air, nothing. Yeah, it's just okay. What's up? What was that, Mike?
Yeah.
Did you see the images I posted on it?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Cool.
That's not the original paper by Millikan, but it's just encyclopedia on it, or the Britannica article.
No, I'd say that's accurate.
The original paper is like a column in a journal. It's really horrible.
It's like fucking chicken.
Yeah, Millikan was an interesting guy. He did design a really good experiment, and if you do it right, it will give you a very accurate result. But he did not do his own experiment correctly, because he did not account for his own personal bias. Nowadays, in particle physics experiments and otherwise, we have blinding procedures to prevent us from even unconsciously altering the data to get what we want. There's one particular experiment where I am a bit more familiar with this, the muon G-2 experiment. Any of you hear of that one?
Say that again? What was it?
The muon G-2 experiment.
And another Antarctica one?
No, this is another Fermilab one in Illinois.
Neutrino stuff.
Yeah. Kind of sounds familiar.
No, this is muon stuff. So this experiment was studying the muon. Which
MUO
understand is the heavier version of the electron. And the goal of this was essentially to put these muons into a very uniform magnetic field and see how quickly those muons oscillate back and forth, or the wobble, essentially. It's called a Thomas precession, but we don't need to go into the details of that. The point is that they were trying to measure this rate of wobble.
Was it a Helmholtz coil?
No. I wasn't involved in actually generating the magnetic field.
That is a typical thing to make a uniform electric field. Is typical apparatus.
Well, you can look it up yourself. The muon G-2 experiment. There's a lot of documentation about how it was constructed and the very fine precision they used to make this extremely uniform magnetic field. But the point was.
So let me ask you a question. This is kind of unrelated. Yeah, I wouldn't say unrelated. I just want your opinion. Are you familiar with LIGO?
Yeah, very familiar. I know somebody working on it.
Also,
I'm going to ask you a question. Now, they claim that LIGO, it's right on their website, not me saying it, it's them.
Mm-hmm.
They claim that they can measure a displacement of 1/1000th of a proton radius.
Yeah.
If you believe that?
Incredibly impressive. Yes. It's
that number is
impressive.
Still like, you know, the thermal noise is something like 11 orders of magnitude greater than that. Right?
Yeah, the way that they've isolated their experiment from external noise is
isn't the thermal
really
noise.
Groundbreaking.
It's the random thermal motion of what they're using.
Yeah, I can't give you a lot of details about that experiment because I don't know too much of the details of it. But if you have any questions, I could pass it along and get it directly from the source. If you.
Well, I mean, I've read a fair bit of their documentation.
Yeah,
I mean, there was problems with the LIGO. Do you think that there's like people? Because you were talking about bias, so kind of, I have to bring it up.
Sure.
And funding.
Sure. No.
Right? And people need jobs. Right. So LIGO is up for.
That's why there's blinding procedures in place to help prevent that. I do know that LIGO does have some blinding procedures. I don't know the details of that. But I was going to go into the details of the muon blinding procedures because I'm more familiar with those. So the big thing that they were trying to find is the rate at which the muon was wobbling in this magnetic field. And the standard model predicts one thing, but it would be very exciting if it was different from that prediction, because that would be you have a new discovery. But since a result that's different than the standard model would be exciting, that means that if you just go in guns a-blazing on this experiment, you'll probably have a lot of bias.
Listen, I am familiar with this now. You're talking about it. Yes, I'm vaguely familiar with it.
So one thing that they did...
There's a controversy. Like someone got one result, and then somebody else got a different result. One was against the standard model.
Really a controversy. It wasn't really a controversy. It was just an exciting development. This experiment was originally done at Brookhaven, and they decided, and it got a very intriguing result there that disagreed with some very well-established theories.
Nice.
So to make sure that
popcorn.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. So to verify, to make sure that it genuinely is a discovery, they moved this experiment, like physically, from New York to Illinois, where they have a much more intense beam to get a much more precise measurement, and are still running right now to check to make sure that this is truly a discovery. And based on a preliminary result, it seems very promising that it does actually disagree with the value predicted, which would be awesome and mean new physics. But as I was getting at, the blinding procedure, again, the main thing that they're looking for is the rate at which this muon wobbles back and forth. So what they do to blind themselves is that, so what they use to measure this wobble, the rate of wobble, is they have a clock, a timing mechanism in this experiment. And that timing mechanism, that clock, is scaled by some unknown number. Like literally they write this down, put it in a box, lock the box. And when you're looking at the data, you know that that data is shifted by some value and you don't know what that value is. So you're still able to fine-tune the experiment and everything, but you don't know what the final result will be until you unlock the box, pull out the number, and then plug that into your equation to see what the true value is. And yeah, so that's a way to prevent any unconscious bias from seeping into the experiment, because even if you're looking right at the data, you can't make any conclusions because you don't know how it's been shifted. Yeah, and so a lot of physics experiments have similar procedures in place to prevent data manipulation, even if on an unconscious level. So it's a very important thing in physics. You got to do it.
Should be black box in this stuff. Like they don't even know what the experiment is. They just have someone just look at the data. They don't even know what it's from.
Well, you do need to know something about the experiment, like the fact that it's a muon in a magnetic field, and that it's wobbling. But yeah, no, the actually, do I have any?
Well, I mean, you could just look at raw data. You can look at raw data and just make correlations in the data just by looking at it, just from the math alone. You don't even need to know what it's about.
I mean, the actual analysis, the actual thing you get from the data itself isn't a super complicated thing. You would literally just see it like a sine wave, and you fit and you find the frequency of that sine wave, and then that's sort of your result. It's not too complicated on that end. I know I have that data saved somewhere.
It's just like this thing, especially carbon dating, where when you go to have some carbon dated, you got to tell them like how old you think it is. So it's like one of those things. Like it's kind of fishy. They should black box it, right? Just send it to them, like not say anything, right? Just nobody should say anything, and have someone that don't know anything read the detector. You know what I mean? We're talking like double blind. Nobody knows what's going on. Except for one person.
The only issue is that with these types of experiments, so like for instance, in order for the experiment to work properly, the magnetic field within the actual experiment needs to be very uniform. And the only way to test that is to actually do the experiment and see if there's any sort of deviations along the path. So you actually do kind of have to do the experiment, shim the magnetic field a little bit to get it right, do the experiment again, and so on. So that's why you need these blinding procedures, so that you can still shim it and make sure everything is lined up perfectly, but in a way that you don't know what the results are going to be.
You were shimming the coils?
Well, that's the term that they use. Again, I was not involved in the actual magnetic. Oh, yeah, that's actually another thing that they use to blind.
Adjustment screws, man. Way better than shims. Superior.
I don't think they were actual shims, but
like a taper. You even know what a shim is.
I mean, it's just like a piece of wood, right? I mean, I don't think they're.
No, well, it depends.
Yeah.
If it's conducting electricity, you don't want to disrupt the electric flow, so it would be something that would conduct a current. So it could be just a thin paper or copper sheet or something.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly they were using because I was not involved in that portion of the experiment. I was involved on the detector side of the experiment.
2x4, you know.
Well, if you just shim it with some shit that doesn't conduct electricity,
that's actually another interesting way that the whole procedure was blinded, because not only the timing mechanism shifted off, but the group that was making sure that the magnetic field was uniform and the group that was making sure that the detectors were working were separate groups, and they did not share results with each other, and they worked in separate buildings and everything, and even if you had that number that shifted the value right, in order to actually get the interesting result, you need to know what the magnetic field exactly was, the two groups would have to talk with each other and share their the exact values that both of them got.
I'll be honest, man. People in the chat, they're just mad. They're like, this has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. So I'm sorry, we have to clip our nerd. I know, me too. It's I'm very nerdy, but it doesn't matter. Because
we're above a lot of people's level right now, to be honest. It
has no relation to the shape.
I appreciate you humoring me.
They stop at theoretical.
Yeah, let's get. Hold on, I do want to go back to the neutrino thing. Diagram.
I'll be able to talk for a little bit longer, then I do have to go to bed.
I'm just going to mention your diagram, right?
You mean
yeah. Okay, so your diagram is misrepresents the equation. Because I looked up the elevation profile and the detector is at like 5,000 feet. So there's no possible way it could come from anywhere, even on a flat Earth, but from underneath.
Is that
I'm pretty sure the Fermilab in Illinois is not at 5,000 feet elevation.
Right.
Now it'll be a very small angle. I'll give you that, but there's no way it could come from above.
Right. I looked at that too. I just didn't want to interrupt.
I'll post it again.
I didn't want to interrupt. I got stoned. I figured I should shut up.
That's the elevation profile.
Oh yeah, so it does spike up at that point, doesn't it? All right. Well, we can at some point actually do the math and figure out.
Perhaps that's why they're aiming down. Wow. Okay.
Is that the name you came here with?
If they were aiming down, wouldn't that make them miss even more?
Are they aiming down? I was just saying.
Yeah, they're aiming down.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go then.
And again, you can actually go there too. Fermilab's open to the public most times, and they actually do tours down into the Minos beam line.
Illinois isn't that far.
Why aren't they aiming up?
Oh, well.
What if the receiver's on the top of the globe?
Okay, you said there's an emitter.
It's always on top, no matter where you are, right?
How is the beam?
Sorry, say that again.
I just laughed when I seen the elevational differences.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's interesting.
How is the beam steered? The beam is in a fixed direction. You can't really steer it.
What's keeping the beam?
You make the neutrinos, and then they just keep going.
What's keeping
in the direction that you sent them?
360 degrees.
Nothing.
What's keeping it in a straight line?
We already covered that. It diffuses.
It's just momentum, You make a neutrino, and there's nothing pushing it. There's nothing that can push it. It's a neutrino. It's
yeah, but what I'm saying,
it's got the momentum, and it goes forward, and then it hits something.
But usually, with radiation that we can emit, we have a waveguide, right?
But you do have a waveguide, but
there's going to be diffusion, divergence. They're going to spread out, bro. That's a given.
They are going to spread out, but however,
it's underground.
They are going to travel in a straight line from where they were created.
Now, are they able to pass through lead like if they are
through solid rock? Together, you know what I'm saying?
They are able to pass through lots of lead. Yes. In fact, most of the neutrinos pass directly straight through the detector.
So does it matter the orientation of the detector?
Doesn't it take like something
Bro, you're taking us back
the
to the
detector will
beginning.
detect neutrinos coming in at any angle you want. It's designed to be have a higher resolution on the side that's like facing the detector rather than coming from above. But it is important that it is able to detect the direction from all directions to make sure that you're not just seeing background noise.
So is the emitter level, or is it pointing down? I'm not sure.
The emitter is pointing down. Like if
you covered orientation also.
If you were to put a ball on the beam, it would roll down the slope.
Down in reference to what?
Pointing in.
A ball would roll if you placed it next to the beam line. Is what I'm saying.
What?
I'm serious. I'm dead
How many
serious.
degrees? Do you know? I just want to run. I want to run some math based on this elevation.
57 mrad. 57 mrad. Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the beam divergence?
No, that's the angle that it's oriented downward. So about 3.3 degrees.
In millarad.
Well,
in the truth, neutrinos do not decompose. Yeah.
How many millirads did you say?
57.
57 millirads?
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, truth, neutrinos do not decay. They actually oscillate. They change back and forth between 3 different kinds of neutrinos, and that's actually what the experiment is looking for.
Flavor. Yeah, we covered all this, didn't we?
Experiment.
Yeah.
At the end, we try to shut it down. Go ahead.
3.36 degrees.
I know.
Hold on.
At the end, I came in and I thought I heard that when everything else breaks down or decomposes, it's what's left and it just travels straight forward. So thanks for clearing it up. Sorry that I come in at the end with.
Sure.
No, you're all right.
No, it was a good question. That's why I pointed out.
Right. Cool.
And Roger, you don't actually see anything except light because you can only see light. So
assuming then,
you ever been punched really hard?
So assuming then neutrino.
There's no light.
So in order to see anything, you have to turn it into light, and then that light needs to go into a detector or your eye. And an eye is just a squishy detector when you think about it.
So they observe the light from the interact. They observe light from an interaction.
Yeah.
So that's a detector in nature, right? Mm-hmm. You don't find a neutrino detector in nature, do you?
Well, actually, it's interesting you mentioned that because you could potentially use your eyes to see these flashes of light.
So no, then.
Bro,
not what I said at all. I said you actually could.
You should probably go to bed, or we're going to go back to the entire 2-hour conversation.
Yeah, I don't think your eye would work as a detector for it. Does it need to be amplified on a magnitude to be able to be detected?
Let him finish.
In a way. So as I've mentioned before, like you need a very large volume of water or argon or something. But what you do is you run a scintillating wire through this fluid or whatever to collect all the light that is generated within this fluid, and then you could aim this scintillating fiber directly onto your eye and just be in a very dark room, and you would see very, very faint flashes of light when a neutrino interacts with it.
So no, then. Nobody's seen a neutrino then.
No, they see the light from. Oh, hold up.
Again,
they make quantifications They made quantifications in the theory that the interaction would release light. They looked for it. They hypothesized it, and then they seen it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a logical inference from a prediction.
They're calling
the interaction of
neutrino.
It's an interaction, a neutrino with a particle.
Yeah, it's also called a charged current interaction. Um, there's two different ways neutrinos can interact with matter: a charged current interaction and a neutral current interaction.
Yeah.
Neutral current means the electron essentially just bounces off, or the neutrino bounces off, and not much else happens. A charged current means that the neutrino actually transforms into a charged particle and transfers charge to the thing that it hit in the process. And that one's a little bit more interesting and produces a lot more light.
Isn't a neutrino called a neutrino because it has no charge to begin with?
Yes, you're right. Okay.
So if a neutrino has no charge, then how does something that has no charge get a charge imparted on it?
It steals it from the thing that it hit.
Oh.
Why it decays and makes
a neutrino?
No, it has in a valence ring. It steals electrons then.
Well, no, it doesn't steal electrons. It's more like it transforms other particles into things. It transforms other particles into things with.
But you said it bounced off of something, right? If it's neutral, but yet it goes through lead.
More specifically,
it goes straight through lead. Doesn't even create a hole in the lead.
You let him answer?
More specifically, if a neutrino hits dead center on an atom, which is pretty rare because the dead center of an atom is very small compared to the rest of it, it can do something called exchange a W boson. It's a different type of particle. It's similar to light, but it carries a different force than light does. And this W boson can transfer the charge from that ion that it hit, more specifically a quark from that ion that it hit. It'll change the quark from like an up quark to a down quark, which means that it lost, or
I don't.
That it gets gained plus one charge.
That cannot be viewed.
And that means that the neutrino then loses one charge and becomes negatively charged.
Yeah, I don't accept that explanation.
Like an electron. Okay.
How is this viewed?
It's flawed in the explanation, using presuppositions. Right.
I'm telling you what we actually. I'm telling you what we actually observe in experiments.
Oh, so you saw a boson then? Is that what you saw?
Well, we saw these types of interactions, yeah.
Oh, so know that.
I mean, again, you never see anything but light directly. Light is the only thing that you can actually get inside of a detector, right?
So know that, right? No, you haven't seen a neutrino. It's all assumptions, right?
It's sort of like saying that you can't see a red ball because you're only seeing the light that's bouncing off of it, right?
That's actually...
You're not seeing the ball directly, you're seeing the light. It's the same process here. You're not seeing the thing directly, you're seeing the light that's coming off of it.
You can actually go to the ball, touch it. It's physical, right?
Well, yeah. Do you know what touching means? That means you're interacting with the electric field of the ball.
Okay.
And guess what that is? That's exchanging photons.
It's
all the same.
It's all theoretical based on models, which you design.
A model that works in experiment.
It's a model you design, right? It's not reality then.
It works pretty well for something that's supposedly not based in reality.
Your model, maybe.
I hear someone says it works. Yeah, I think like you're making a sales pitch, like a used car salesman, but it works.
I mean, it does.
It's just me, man, because apple cycles, but nobody thinks that shit anymore.
It clunks a little when you turn it on, but dang old air conditioning works, by God.
Hey, that Dodge, I don't care what you say, it drove into the shop with a hole in the block.
Find something that works better. If you can find something that works better, I'm all ears. But until then...
Yeah, that's...
I mean, how can we, like, you say that, like, how could we ever actually do that?
Which part specifically? Because there's lots of different ways you can do it.
How can I find something that works better? How could I do that?
Well, if you are very clever,
you got to need $10 billion.
Your own new model. You have your own idea of how these particles will interact with detectors.
Then I go down to Fermi Lab and I want to use that thing for a minute.
I mean, you can propose it. Depending on how well your proposal is formulated, they might let you have some time on their beam.
I won't see how that thing
works. The probability of a non-academic with connections touching any of that equipment is 0.
Yeah,
I'm almost more certain of that than the fact you've eaten before.
I would like to see how your particle generator interacts with food.
What would happen if I were to stick my head in the beam?
Well, which beam in particular?
The supposed particle beam.
Which beam?
Neutrino?
Well,
your head will turn into
He calls it an experiment, but it's a machine that he's building.
So
it'll be very different depending on if it's the neutrino beam that I was explaining or a
go through your head
beam like the LHC. So the neutrino beam wouldn't actually do much to you. You could stand directly in front of it and you wouldn't even notice it.
I just go through your head.
However, if you head inside of the LHC, you very much would notice it. And in fact, this actually did happen once,
yes,
not with the LHC.
Did it rip their face off?
It was a predecessor. I think it was.
Yes, it was in the Soviet Union.
If there was no blood and guts, I don't want to hear about it.
It was in the. It was what was his name? It's Anatoly Bergorsky. He's still alive today.
It wasn't fatal? That sucks.
It was not fatal, surprisingly. Even though it went
directly to his brain. He was in the Watchmen, wasn't he?
Kind of beam was maintenance on the beam, and the safety mechanism failed.
Are you sure
and a batch of high energy protons.
Hey, what kind of a beam?
Oh my god,
dude!
What kind of a proton beam?
Proton.
High energy protons.
I realize this is a touchy subject for people, but can we please allow each other to finish what they're saying, at least so it's palatable?
Yeah, I think. Hold on. I think Discord is experiencing like a little lag. We're having like the, you know how Discord gets, where people aren't hearing each other's sentence end, kind of. The channel kind of gets like when we get a lot of people in a channel. Now it happens when we get a lot of people in a channel. I've noticed it definitely happen. But people also overtalk more. So
does it also make them like robot?
Yeah, I was gonna stick with that, bro. Here, just let me be an asshole.
But I will finish this conversation with a story of this man. No, he did not get superpowers. He got half of his face paralyzed. What happened was that when it happened, he said that he saw a light brighter than 1,000 suns, which I think is understandable, considering it crossed his optic nerve. And immediately he seemed fine, but then half of his face started swelling up and peeling. But eventually that swelling went down, and he discovered that half of his face was paralyzed. And I believe he also has, I think they're called absence seizures, where you just sort of zone out every now and then.
It's superpower. I mean, seriously,
the definition.
Well, yeah. If it's like the left side of his face and he has to defend somebody, he can take a lot of blows to that side.
Sure.
I could do this all day.
But
this is like a joke.
Something that is interesting is because only half of his face is paralyzed. Now that he's an older man, you can actually see that half that was paralyzed has a lot less wrinkles than the other half.
Oh, jeez.
Now there's no bleeding. There is no.
Don't let any girls hear you.
No bleeding. No bleeding or anything. It's not like a physical impact. It was everything along the path of the beam was ionized, so it's more of a chemical destruction rather than a physical destruction.
Yeah, well, what I'm trying to say is that they were more like energy instead of like
deposited a lot of energy along that line,
like a wave instead of a beam. Like instead of like a machine gun, it's more like a garden hose.
I mean, it's a very fine precision, so it's obviously not going to be probably maybe only a few microns across. in diameter.
Yeah, but it's ionized, right? So it's
ionizing radiation.
Form. It's mixed in with the plasma.
Well, I'm not sure if you'd describe it as a plasma, but it is just a stream of high energy particles, and anything that they pass through, just the chemicals get ripped apart.
So take a look at the diagram.
And as I mentioned, as they pass his optic nerve, they let out a flash of light that he actually could see. And thankfully, we don't actually have
greater than 1,000 suns.
Yeah, that's what he said. Greater than 1,000 suns.
That must be a superpower. So he got a superpower.
Dude, that's your brain catching on fire.
What if the Russian government found out about it and disabled his brain so he couldn't shoot laser beams out of his eye anymore?
Poor guy.
Can I get back on topic for a second?
Yeah, bro.
Okay, so I posted.
I got to get going. It's getting pretty late for me.
Well, real quick,
but it's been a really good talk.
Real quick.
Uh-huh.
The diagram I posted. It's like a GeoGebra thing.
Sure.
In the last few voice text. I just want you to know that's the downward tilt right there to 0.099 rad. That's what it's supposed to be. What did you say it was? 0.56 millirad?
He said
57 millirad.
Yeah,
57.
So that's the ideal that it wouldn't work on a flat Earth is a false dichotomy from the beginning.
Just showing you that's just
with elevation.
Judging one way or another. I'm just saying this is geometry is. That's the globe with kilometer radius. That's the distance. That's the kilometers. So
you can look up the technical
when
design.
You add in elevation.
Well, doesn't.
That slight of the slope.
That's the downward tilt from horizontal, right? So if you were.
Yeah. So I assert it would work on a flat Earth.
There we go. There's the technical design report for you. But yeah, no.
E is eye level, and to get from eye level to D, that would have to be. You're saying they're going through the Earth. I didn't even measure that.
Yeah, it goes like actually through the curvature of the Earth because neutrinos don't get stopped by much.
So the DCE angle is. Like I said, 0.099 radian. Which is what? Order of magnitude larger than the number you said.
What number did I say? It's 730 kilometers.
No. The angle, the dip angle.
It's 800 miles from one to the other, dude. I already gave it to you in miles.
Dip angle, he said it's 3 so in degrees, what was it, 3 1/4?
He said
3 point.
I thought he said 56 millirad or something.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
57 millirad.
Yeah, 57, which is
in here that graph.
Yeah, and a millirad is 1,000th of a.
Yeah, so it's 3.24, I think, degrees. Let me do it again.
Oh,
I got it.
Degrees too, so no big deal.
Okay, yeah. Radians to degrees.
Assuming Earth has curvature, which has never been measured, neutrino.
No, that doesn't need. Listen, that doesn't need the assumption that's the degree of an angle at which the beam is propagated at.
Yeah, that'd be the same even if the Earth was flat, curved, whatever shape you want it to be.
5.6737 degrees. That's how much they would have to tilt.
And the elevation differences.
It's not even tilted enough, huh? Interesting.
5.6737 degrees.
Twice the angle they need.
Diffusion works,
right?
Sometime this weekend, I'll have my full working out of the geometry for you guys, and you guys can check my math.
We just worked it out, bro. We just worked it out. 800 miles, varying elevations, slight angles of degree of propagation.
To scale, right?
Divergence and diffusion.
Yeah.
It'll work on a flat Earth. Absolutely. Why wouldn't it?
Again, I'll do the full geometry all in a single post, so you can see my whole steps.
What more do you need than the height differences, the angle of propagation, the angle of collection, and maybe the quantification of diffusion in the pattern to go see a pattern?
You also need the depths at which each detector is at, too.
He needs his bias.
Well, it's been a great talk.
It's been a pleasure, man.
It's cool, bro. Yeah. Some other time. You've been cordial.
Hey, photo multiplier tubes. Remember me, Cyrus, and photo multiplier tubes.
I have a photo of a photo multiplier tube that I got to work with, if you'd like to see before I head out.
Yes, please.
Yeah, all bullshitting aside, I'd like to thank you for remaining civil.
For sure, man.
Hey, I am not an aggressive person. I don't like raising my voice.
Well, we don't get that too often. Normally, we get "Hey, retard," you know.
Yeah, I'm not about that.
When the people that are saying it would be lost at this level of conversation, if you know what I mean.
And they're lost at the ninth grade level.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening, just waiting to get verified in this channel, and hearing some of the other people talk was interesting.
We don't have to go there.
There was a lot of colorful language.
Yeah, dude, it was shit.
Nothing yet.
You were there when that guy was like, "You guys are pop," right when you hopped up.
Yeah. No, I was there. I was listening, and that
every team's got a mascot.
Than I expected.
Dude, you never.
Every team topic makes people furiously emotional. Like, and I'm not even talking about like flat earthers. I'm talking about gold earthers, especially like between the age range of say 20 and 16. There's some older ones too that snap out.
Oh yeah, them 50, 60-year-olds, them are the dudes that are just like, "Oh, you fucking retard, everybody knows this, you dumb fuck. I can't explain
We're Americans. We went to the moon.
You're a dumbass."
Look, that's the internet for you, right?
Yeah, they start with the
your parents must be
so proud.
Well, hey, quick question. A friend of mine is posting laser stuff for you. Do you have a problem with like a 40-kilometer like comparison with a laser to the curvature of Earth? What's
I think using lasers to try to measure curvature is you're going to get into arguments quickly because nobody here seems to agree on how light bends in air.
Normal light.
Whatever light you want.
Neutrino light?
Can you demonstrate that?
Well, neutrino isn't light. That's why
I'm messing with you, man. I'm messing with you.
Why it's not an issue.
Well, you don't really see a neutrino, do you? You see a light from an interaction, right? I thought we covered that.
That's how you see anything.
That. Bro, I was messing with him.
We need light to see, but it's not the same thing. That's kind of being a little disingenuous.
This is what's disingenuous. The entire heliocentric model is predicated on the behavior of light.
Yeah.
Until that light says the Earth is flat, and then they're like, well, they didn't determine the Earth was a globe from neutrinos.
Yeah, and
used a couple sticks and shadows and fell out of a tree or something.
Right. And when a military ship sees a target 30 miles away and it shoots its laser to acquire the target, it is shooting it at an object, not at a mirage or a hologram. So you're
there we go.
Effectively saying, well, the military can't use lasers to acquire targets then, right?
Well, we use a neutrino laser or neutrino targeting system.
That's right. And Discord is being stupid and not letting me post
a muon
here.
Why not? Discord, or you got perms, if I'm not mistaken.
I posted an image earlier.
Okay.
Let me see if I can post it direct. I was trying to drag and drop it, but maybe it doesn't like that. Let's see here.
Gonna post the cat.
I can only do one at a time. Alright, well, this will work.
He's going to post the dinosaur meme in jet.
No. Oh god, imagine if I just started trolling after all this long talk.
Bro, I highly doubt it, bro. No way. You know what a multiplier is? No, man, I trust you. Believe it or not. Just based on that.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And oh my god, silicon photomultipliers are so much more easier to handle. You don't have to use high voltage equipment or anything.
Stick that in your pocket, please, and just send me a couple. 2 would be great. I mean, the more the merrier.
Oh gosh. Here, I have another angle of this as well.
It's just experiment.
I like to think of these.
The failed
I
one.
like to think of these as reverse flashlights because they take in light instead of giving out light.
Yeah.
So what is your contention against a laser over 40 kilometers? What is the problem with that?
Bedtime.
I don't get it. I really don't get it. What's the problem?
Again,
You said light bends.
figuring out how light bends over those long of distances is a hard problem.
So you have any demonstration of any demonstration that light bends over a curve?
So I'm saying that nobody here seems to agree about if light does or doesn't bend. And
when did you test it?
Nobody.
Well, listen, everyone here.
Sorry, was that too soon? Did you guys want to fuck around for another 2.5 hours?
Anyway.
No, we were trying to let him say goodbye and have a good night.
Yeah, you keep pulling me back in.
I mean, if you must ask.
Okay,
These are good questions. These are good questions, but I do need to get sleep because I have work tomorrow.
Yeah, so you can answer
For
more
what,
questions.
the 10th time?
You come by tomorrow, man, after work or something. Stop by.
It's like the 10th time you said
See, if I
it.
have time, I have a lot of papers I need to grade. So many papers. Oh my god.
Well, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks. Thanks
Come
for
on
the
after all the day.
Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys later.
You have a stupendous night.
Real person.
Hey, man.
You as well.
Fucking A.
Peace.
Have a great one.
The flat Earth.
Get to the variability of radioactive decay.
Oh, what the hell? Why won't you climb up the ladder?
Did you guys like the stories?
Was there like a moral? Was there a moral to all of that?
No, that's an amoral story. It's the opposite of a moral story.
Yeah, what was the...
So, now go on to
Enemy contact.
Whenever you whenever you talk about lasers, then they are immediately but light bends over the curve.
Yeah, we actually took care of some of that in the very beginning.
Fucking every time, man.
I got it out.
So
you came in late, Roger. We took care of a lot of things that right at the point you were bringing up, we actually already covered.
It's so because the horizon is optical, no one can know what is happening with the air and the stuff in the air and light at the horizon. You're not there to test it, and you can't be. It's optical.
Well, it's a big optical illusion. We're just confused weirdos, just running around, have no idea where we're going. You could just get hit by a car at any minute. Even though I feel like I'm in my house, I might not really be there.
How many times have we watched one of the videos and talked about like what they're doing there in neutrinos and shit like that? Wish we at least could question someone, like ask them some questions like that. That's what I appreciate, being able to, get into it and just ask them questions. But
you really can't get because it's such a pseudoscience. You really can't get deep into it because the problem really is in the mathematics. In that they're not like shooting a neutrino and like, oh yeah, it's not like, I have a target somewhere and I pull the trigger, right, and the bullet goes and hits a bullseye somewhere. It's not like that. No, it's more like they're shooting gazillions and gazillions of bullets, and every once in a while they'll see one appear on the target.
Yeah, one hits. What they wait for is a particle to hit some, that to decay, and the emission of light as a neutrino is formed. And this is based on statistical probability, on a theory, a hypothesis,
So there's so many, but that's built upon other theories. I mean, that's just like a stack of shit.
And quantifications. Exactly. So
well, think about it like this: someone like that doing that kind of like pseudoscience. We call it pseudoscience, right? If they're doing something like that and they're actually actively doing it, and you can like reach them slowly and slowly show them how to do pseudoscience. And if they see that the Earth is flat and that they're lying about all this other shit, then maybe they can get re-engaged in what they're doing right now with a whole new set of eyes. That's the hopeful thing. Anyway.
So he acted like when a particle decays, you actually see the neutrino, but the truth is you don't see the neutrino.
The neutrino's never detected correctly.
No, they never see a neutrino. They predicted that when this decay happens, that a neutrino is created and the light is emitted. Because they see the light, they assume or infer there's a neutrino being created and released. So they never detect a neutrino.
So when I used the word decompose, it should have been just decay. I thought I heard it like that.
Well, they call it change flavors.
Yeah,
it's they got their own terminology. And the reason they have that is because there's something called the solar neutrino problem. They were supposed to be detecting some amount, and then they were like, oh, they're not like there's like two different types of neutrinos, and then they were like detecting too many of one, and then they were like, well, they must be transforming when they're in between the sun and the earth and becoming something else. Yeah, it's like going into the weeds on this shit is like pointless. It's like arguing about unicorns and elves and shit.
Yeah, they come out Bumblebee, but then on the way here they transform to Optimus Prime, and somewhere in between they might be Omega Supreme.
Yeah, and we know that because
we predicted it.
Saw some light that might have been from this other particle because there was this other interaction with something we also can't prove.
Yeah, I just want to kick that can down the road.
Yeah, it's like he created a boson from being too close to the nucleus. The other thing I can't prove. That's the other thing we can't prove. The nucleus, the W boson, the electron, and then the neutrino, and then the Cherenkov radiation, and like all these things. It's like a whole. It's a. You ever see Tom and Jerry where they make these like elaborate contraptions that do one stupid thing? That's what it is, man. It's called a Rube Goldberg device. It's a Rube Goldberg device of this whole contraption. Neutrinos exist.
The same way that angle absolutely wouldn't work on a flat Earth, or the propagation wouldn't work, or the way it's collected from an upward angle wouldn't work, and all that changes as you look into it.
Here's the funny part, right? He has to go back and do the math. Shouldn't he have already done the math? He already made his claim.
Yeah, he claimed it wouldn't be possible on a flat Earth.
Now he has to go check what his belief is. And he was talking about confirmation bias. He already believed the math wouldn't work. He didn't even do the math.
Right. And when you look at the elevations, one being higher than the other, wouldn't you predict that we'd have to propagate a beam at a slight angle to hit that detector that's at a lower elevation?
Yeah, it's never coming from on top. Yeah, because the other place is higher than where you're shooting it from. Yeah, no shit. Good deduction, Sherlock.
Yeah, I know.
When I look from below you, they don't hit you in the head from the top. Like, great. It's some JFK shit.
We were both reading the same stuff, so I figured, when Indio sees this, I'll let him say something. I'm high, fuck it. I'm done.
Well, if anyone needs to be woke and needs to see the truth about the lies that they're telling, what about that? The truth about the lies that they're telling, like he's one, and it could. I mean, maybe it would benefit. I don't know. Maybe you could get a new set of eyes. Look, I've got my suspicions about what they're truly doing there anyway. So yeah, they've got to have some kind of.
One thing we know they're doing there,
so that they can
spending a lot of money.
Oh yeah,
we know they're doing that.
Rituals. They're doing rituals. They're probably having orgies down there too.
So much power. Look, with all the power and all the ways that they've tried to get out of this place, and with all the power that they've got and all the magnets, it's like I think that they realize that there's something with the strong magnetic force that, with the fields that the Earth creates, that's what they're trying to tap into and manipulate, and they're just giving these guys shows and stories to keep them busy or whatever. I don't know. That's been my suspicion.
Well, if they're pushing particles with magnetism, that would say magnetism rules the quantum realm, and it also rules the megascopic realm, because that's the building blocks.
I'm not convinced they're doing anything. They can masturbate with their models. Nobody's making like anything out of neutrinos. Okay, like there's no consumer product, anything that they're ever going to use neutrinos for. So what are they doing? They're just playing around with our money.
Circle jerk.
You got to understand how much money these things cost. This isn't like small amounts of money. We're talking billions. Not millions. Billions at least for Fermilab, right? And I know, like I live in the city, but I know some people living in rural areas. We're talking like one of these, like Fermilab, it costs as much as probably like 5 counties in Kentucky. Their entire budget of place in 5 counties. The money they spend. This one little stupid place is looking around for neutrinos, spending more money than that. I mean, it's pretty disgusting, if you ask me, to make nothing of any practical purpose.
Well, that's what they're telling us, and that's what the lower level, the ones first going into it, yeah. But like, what are they really doing? I don't know. I wonder if they're strategically placed in locations with certain.
Makes you think they have to be doing anything productive?
Yeah, I can't believe I said that. Electromagnetic properties, like there's different places in the world that have different magnetic field. Or they claim anyway. I don't know. I don't know myself.
But there's a reason, like we put people that are aggressive. We have them nowadays. We have them do sports. Get into sports. They go out and kill people in real life. So we, take really smart people and we have them do projects that don't do anything. So they're not running around making machine guns or whatever they would do with their free time. You've got to occupy people. You can't think of like the government as a sense of like your household. They have a different agenda. They're trying to make sure that we don't grab the pitchforks and torches, take the shit over. They got to keep everyone busy and happy, just enough to survive, just so they're not mad. You don't want to give the slaves too much, so you don't want to give them too little either. So they're always trying to find that balance. Really smart people. I don't think any of these places actually produce anything. I just think it's literally an exercise in mental masturbation. You're just screwing around. Yes, so what? And where's the punchline? Like, where's the next part?
I hope he doesn't try my hand at, and have a go at, use my skills and see what I can do with him on flat Earth and other things.
Go for it. He seemed fairly open-minded. I mean, to a degree. I mean, don't ask, I wouldn't expect to hear it. People like him are like, they're split. Because I think he has an honest, like, people that are scientists most people are genuinely curious about the way the world works. On the other hand, they did have to pass through a lot of gatekeepers. And they're just stuck. Everything that all the time and effort they invested into learning the official narrative versus being intellectually honest, that's a tough choice to make. And I wouldn't just expect anybody to do the right thing. People often don't. People are cowards.
So, did anyone talk to him? I'm assuming that maybe some of this might have been touched on, which I don't know. It could have went directly into a pretty hard, heavy combo. But does anyone, Cyrus, you or Badamon or any of you guys, do you know if he's aware of the grappling of the studying of electricity back in the day with with Tesla and all that, and how they've pretty much
he went
where they stopped experiment. They stopped any studies on it, any research on it, and then when they did allow any research, then they were total. So is he aware of anything? I guess so. And I was talking to responders. No. I didn't hear.
I'm sure he's heard some of it. He must have just because he's not new to this server. He's been on the server. He was here a while back. He was here like last year. I think Rex banned him. So he's not new. He's not new to this whole thing. He's been over on Gem Pandas. He's been in Science versus Pseudoscience. He's not a newbie by any stretch of the imagination.
No, really. Well, really? He knows birds. He has to know. Because he's had to see the information, and if he's went out and looked at it and examined it and give it any honest thought, like, then he knows the Earth's flat. Or he hasn't even considered it honestly.
Well, the very fact that he's spending time, at least a year, on Flat Earth servers, and he's like a mainstream, science person, what does that tell you? Is that in his peer group, right, of other scientists, that it's intellectually non-stimulating, because they're all a bunch of clones, right? They're a bunch of NPCs all saying the same thing. That isn't too entertaining, right? When everybody's going, you're all individuals, and 1,000 people yell, "Yes, we are," but no, you're not. You know what I mean? Like from life to pride.
Leave it up to me to be the hopeful one. Maybe he's like Matthew Learns, and he can only say or only agree to so much because of his job status. I don't know. That's what he says. That's what he says,
but right? Yeah, it's job status. For people that are heavily invested in the system, their livelihood depends on it. Like, see, my livelihood don't depend on it. His does. Yeah, he can't walk in the Fermi lab going, "I'm a flat earther." Okay, he won't be working at Fermi lab for very long. I mean, let's get real.
Son of a bitch.
And his Fermi lab friends, or anyone that knows where he works, and everyone listening knows where he works, and he knows this. So he can't come on here.
We went to university with, and like his professors, and the alumni, and like all the. His whole life, because obviously he's a nerd, right? All the people he grew up with, and like all of a sudden he comes out, like he went from, I'm a mainstream physicist, and then you got people stereotypes of flat earthers, and he comes out as a flat earther, they're going to be like, he must be mentally ill, let's check him into an institution, right?
So maybe able to get more of an honest conversation with him in another room that's not live streamed. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. I agree. What's your next?
These guys are just fucking camping at spawns.
I can be relentless.
Well, I think, like,
Contact with enemy.
there's lots of ways to skin a cat, and I think, as far as you try to keep it simple. And, sometimes common sense is the answer. It's not always the answer, but sometimes it actually is. And keep it simple, stupid, it's really a good acronym for life, period. Don't overly complicate things.
Even if you can't get them to look at the thing you want them to look at with honest eyes and question it, if you can find something that they will look at and see, the deception in it, or, like how deceptive that they are and how much they're lying about it. If they can, like, if there's something, it doesn't have to be the thing that you want them to look at, but if you can get them to find that one thing, right, that they see that is, well, wait, what are they doing here? Why are they telling us this when it's this? Then maybe that will cause them to question everything. It just takes that one thing, right? Just questioning that, having that one thing to click in your mind. So who knows? I don't know. I don't think you'll get it. I don't think anyone will get him to do it here on the live stream. Because what we just said. Who knows? Yep.
Stealth chopper inbound.
If I bring you to Flat Earth, do I get a trophy? Just joking. I've got it.
Destroyed. Friendly swarm activated. Friendly stealth chopper inbound.
I like for someone that really works in one of those places to be able to do further investigating and be able to go in covertly and see what they're really truly doing. Because I know they're not, like, whatever they're telling us is just stories.
Hostile stealth chopper inbound.
Alright, I'll shut up.
Your mic is like...
Oh, crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
My furnace, I don't know why. It's like, I can't hear it right now, but when I'm sleeping, I can hear that knocking. And it's like it's like when you've got a rod knocking in your engine. It just gets louder throughout the night. So anyway, sorry. I'll mute.
Hostiles have destroyed.
Yeah, that would probably be something in your blower fan.
Bring it up, squad. Friendly swarm activated.
Enemy contact.
Enemy is jamming. Enemy EMP.
Sasha, thanks for not being a dumbass. Appreciate it.
Hostile stealth chopper inbound.
What's the dumbass saying I muted him?
Oh, that guy. Oh, I muted him.
That's some bullshit.
That's sacrifice.
In there, dude.
Oh, man. The minute I fucking heard him, I was like, bro, not right now. Not having any of your shit.
Contact with enemy.
Or was he going to come in and try and cock block or, you know, just throw a wrench in the gears?
Oh, that's all he does, man. That's all he does.
Listen, bro, like Cyrus said, he was muting his obvious problems and I was muting mine. We tried to go old school on him, homie.
Yeah, we've done the neutrino thing before.
Yeah.
You know, like.
I do. We've done a lot of reading on that, bro. He was on specific experiments, so that's why I started Googling, you know? Like, why wouldn't a propagation angle work on a flat Earth? Oh, turns out it would! Dude tried to say, I could know my orientation in reference to that detector from underground just by the angle of the tunnel.
Contact with enemy.
I think it's very telling that he never actually even did the math. I think that's hilarious, dude. Especially when he was talking about confirmation bias.
Yeah,
How Millikan screwed up because he expected a result and kept tweaking until he got the result he wanted. He drew a conclusion and he didn't even do the math to see if the angle would work.
Oh my god, what the
fuck?
fuck?
Yeah. It's always, they usually start from this false dichotomy. I mean, I asked
I'm sure there was some fanboys in the YouTube chat. Because if you look on our search, right, for his name, there's a bunch of like deleted user profiles from when he was here. Like, you want pointed on the live stream, no flat earthers gonna be prepared for him, and a bunch of hooey like that. Right? Your savior didn't displayed a whole bunch of confirmation bias.
I'm surprised, what's his name?
New conclusions before he even looked at the data.
Listen, my DMs were quiet, Cyrus.
Yeah, me too, man. I didn't find Professor. Yeah.
I'm just happy to know I'm not the only one who talks to in my DMs. But I mean, honestly, I really don't think he's that bad of a guy. You just gotta. He brings up questions that require research. Phil, Professor Phil, and to
how am I still awake?
Asking me stupid ass questions that had nothing to do with
Yeah, we get that
have it
from
involved
him.
with like 5 things. It's like, nope, goodbye.
Like, I never heard anything like that from him. The only thing that, and he barely would, it's like people wanted him to come into the, I'm not trying to, again, I'm just saying, I just never did get that from him. The only thing that I ever seen from him was people trying to get him into the live stream to debate, and he wouldn't. He'd stay in the lobby and start DMing new people, telling them how dumb we were, and all kinds of trying to feature them from the combo and all kinds of shit.
So he DMs me. What do you DM me? Last time we were talking about Cavendish, he DM'd me and said, I've done the Cavendish over 40 times in my career. Well, no, he said he successfully did the Cavendish 40 times. And I want to reply to him, oh, you tried 400 times. It only worked 40.
Isn't that confirmation bias?
Yeah, right. It's just cheating. I mean, this is called what it is, it's cheating. fiddling with the experiment until you get the result you already think you're supposed to get. That is the Cavendish in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's like me when I'm doing my streaming, when I'm playing video games and stuff. I could just sit down and record my streams, my game, and just nitpick like the highlights. Or if I record, I could just like do the whole session, so I can stream and play at the same time. I don't have. So I could cheat and only give the results that I want people to see, or be honest.
Yeah, or you could have a one-night stand and say she's your girlfriend.
She's not yours. It's just a turn.
Well, it worked once.
Yeah, but then again.
What?
What kind of is it? Talk about Stinger. He's a hole.
Had the audacity to say like a virgin.
I didn't hear it. That's why.
Madonna sung it as a song, bro.
Madonna's a popular man.
What Madonna Horror Complex has to do with either woman is pure virgin or she's a dirty person that you wouldn't want to be with, right? It's either or. Like, people want to look at their mother and not realize Madonna Horror Complex is. People think.
What the hell does mother have to do with it?
Because that's what it has to do with.
Think about your parents having sex for a minute. Does that explain it?
Huh?
I'll talk in the clap.
I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Think about your parents having sex.
No, see, what the fuck?
Yeah, see, that's the complex right there. You can't think that everybody.
Yeah, it's too complex for me. Can I say that? I don't want to think about it.
We all have desires, man.
Mama's got a squeeze box she wears on her chest.
My parents don't have sex.
When daddy's home, he can't get no rest.
My dad snaps his fingers and I pop
They're
out.
playing all night.
Is that an
and the music's alright.
Is that a Samoan legend or something?
Mama's got a squeeze box. Daddy never sleeps at night.
So how did? So I actually have a legit question. So how did they teach the birds and the bees free European in Samoa?
Did they even have bees? I'm just kidding.
Did they just like demonstrate it?
Yeah, you know, but in the past,
You see them two dolphins out there, son?
when they get married, they go into a room and have sex, come out and show the thing. We don't do it anymore, but that's what I heard we used to do in the past.
Show the thing.
What do you mean show the thing? What thing?
The broken hymen?
Are you confused about how babies are made?
About sex.
They had sex for 9 months?
Just look, they had these little totem holes with erects and spread legs, and they just showed them with dowels, wooden carved poles.
Jesus.
By the way, dolphins have S-shaped penises. Just in case you're wondering. Dolphins have giant S-shaped penises.
A walrus has got an U6. It's like 4 foot of ivory.
It's actually a boner.
Yeah. Walrus got an ivory penis. Well, how are you going to keep flesh hard in all that cold ass weather and water? You know.
Didn't they make pipes out of those?
Man,
Couldn't tell you, Mike.
I had a friend. His mom
I would
worked
smoke out of that.
on the.
Talk about
Hey, listen. Yeah, my buddy's mom worked on the pipeline, and she had one, but it wasn't carved, it wasn't damaged, it was perfectly polished. So I can only imagine what they do with them, you know.
It was a little worn out.
Walrus penis spear tip.
Oh, please. No,
well, that's what the Inuits did with it.
So I stuck the spear, or Peter stuck
What
the
sound do
spear.
you think it makes when you stick someone with that?
With another Walrus's dick.
Do you think the sound it makes is fuck?
Listen, you got to see what it looks like first now.
My brother killed me. Some human chopped off my brother's dick and then killed me with it.
I decided to go Peter's tip spear. You know, the
Nature is cruel sometimes.
Grab your Usyk, we're going walrus hunting.
Did you say grab your moose dick?
Usyk.
Oh.
Usyk. That's an Usyk right there. See it?
Yeah, we covered this topic before too.
That's what they kill walruses for. The ivory is, it's a treasure.
The tusks, the face tusks.
Those two.
Oh, is that not what we're looking at? Because I am not going to look at the voice text until you guys change the subject.
No, you're looking at a Usyk.
I'm not going to look.
Well, then you're not looking at an Usyk.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
You're looking at a penal bone.
I don't want to do that. Okay.
It's a unicorn.
Yeah, that's a unicorn right there.
I want to steer clear of looking at animal penis.
True.
I'm trying to quit that shit.
Man up, bro. Man up.
I'm trying to quit that shit. Keep picking up the stupid fucking penis drawer when he was growing up.
Yeah. Listen, you could never be a farmer. If I say go check that cow's shit and make sure he's healthy, you'd be like, what? I'm not touching that poop.
There's worms and shit in that. There's maggots in that poop.
Oh, well then we gotta give it some medicine, boy.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah, worms are big as hell in cows. That's nasty. But, yeah, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. The alternative is let your animal suffer. Which is just a no for me.
We hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, that's a sin.
It should be.
Well, it's sinning against the animal.
Yeah.
Kind of like factory farming.
Yeah, I would agree. If you're not going to take care of them and show them love, at least while they're living, then you have no business doing animal husbandry. That's my opinion. You should be part of your family until the day they're not. And then they'll be a real part of your family. I'll walk with that burger in my DNA for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
I won't do it, but I could explain things that are nastier about cows than Usyk for a walrus.
You ever been half your body inside of a giving birth
Like I
cow?
said, I wasn't gonna go there, but if you want me to,
So
yes.
dude, it's
yes.
3:38 a.m.
Remember, it's Sean's fault.
Yes,
So
that's-
yeah, blame it on me. It's cool.
Sure. Half the body up in there.
It's crazy.
Even couldn't find the glove, but I had to do it anyway, so I didn't lose my heifer, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Or my calf. Fuck it, it washes off. I ain't gonna lie though, I was quick to get to the shower afterwards.
Right. How many times have you done that?
Just once. I keep them
okay.
closed. I got 5.
You didn't lose your rings, right? That would be a bitch.
No, you take that shit off, bro. You can, you don't want to, cut the uterine wall or anything. With a ring, a diamond ring or anything like that, you can give them internal bleeding.
Ace Ventura.
Fuck you. Mike Ventura. I'm gonna change your nickname, Mike.
Hey, Vaughn could hang out with my youngest. When we seen that, she laughed her fucking ass off and fell off the couch, and I was like, "It's not that goddamn funny." She said, "That's you, Dad, with your cow." I was like,
it's like 5 times as funny for her.
It was. I was like, man, fuck you. She said, Mom, Dad said F me. Everybody had a good laugh on me that day. Let's just get it out there.
Oftentimes, that's what dads do.
You know what I told him, though? Next time you could do it. I can wake you up. It might be 4 in the fucking morning. You never know. I mean, somebody's got to do it. Wait till I die. That's your call when I leave. You know what they say? I'll have less money than you, Dad, because I'll pay some other motherfucker to do that.
I mean,
cast sections or something.
Yeah, the reason I know how is because those people can't always get there in time. Just that simple. It's a good skill to have if you're going to breed dairy cows.
I'd say essential, for sure.
Otherwise, get her pregnant and then send her to the veterinarians and get her back with a born calf. Pay thousands of dollars for that calf.
How can that happen? I broke her armor.
Yeah,
and she was able to shoot me while
yourself.
on her fucking
I mean, I only imagine, but I'm probably right about that.
No, you're right. I can walk in my bull's fucking area, but that's because I birthed the motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's been dealing with me since before he could walk, before he could stand on his own 2 feet. And they stand up pretty quick afterwards.
Once they find their footing, did they keep it, is what you're saying?
Yeah, the first time they stand up, they're pretty wobbly, but
with those trees.
They should stand up within 10, 15 minutes of birth.
Oh, wow. That's quick. People take forever. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, it doesn't always happen that way, but...
Do your goats jump on top of each other? You have goats, right?
Hmm?
You have goats, right? Do you have dairy goats?
Metal City.
Yeah.
Goats, yeah.
Do they do the stack up pyramid shit? Hell yeah.
Down behind the scenes.
Did they go in trees?
They climb everything, dude.
That's awesome. Goats and trees, guys. That's what happens.
Why do you think I got barns for all my cars, man?
There you go.
Motherfucker will go out there and play King of the Chevelle.
He'll do like spins. He'll just spin in a circle on top, having a gay old time. Fucking shit up.
The airdrop is coming.
Yeah, if your calf doesn't stand up within a half hour, it might be a problem, but you can usually tell if they're a different color, and then you rub them to get the blood circulate, But usually it's quick. Usually it's quick, just like a horse, a pony.
Welcome to the cold world. You're a cow. Sorry.
Yep. Hey,
this is literally the best we can do right now. I'm really sorry. Real sorry.
Calves are cute as hell, dude.
Yes, they are. I think that just baby everything animals are pretty much adorable.
Yes.
I can't, you know what I mean? Like I can't.
No, I was saying yes to what Troop prevails.
Oh.
Except for kangaroos, they're freaking ugly.
As babies, though, are they?
Yeah.
I'll bet they're just plumb cute as shit.
None of my claymates are on.
What, kangaroos? Yeah, I would think so. Most
leaving the game.
I don't know. Most all are, except for like a hairless possum baby. They're not too cute.
Oh, and those cats? Ugh.
Baby rats aren't
hairless cats.
Aren't really cute.
What are we doing there, people?
They're not that ugly.
Babies, skin bags walking around. It's horrible.
No, I don't want to.
I know. What's with them cats? I'm like, oh, kill it.
You like grab it by its scruff and have half of its body in your hand. It just melts downward. You're like, bleh. All you are is skin. I have a feeling too that they look that way, and that's not how cats with no hair look. Generally, I think their skin, because it doesn't have hair, it's like made differently. Maybe I'm wrong. They look like demons.
They look all wrinkled up, like them wrinkled Sharpays.
Almost like Gollum. Can't call them little fur balls, call them little skin bags. Walking around. Little kitty scrotum. Okay, all right.
Grab the pussy by the skin.
Oh no!
Nah, I couldn't. Sorry.
You didn't, but it's okay.
I have to.
We can land here.
Yep. Now just imagine your girlfriend's cat doing that to you. You guys fight about it all the time. He can't stop making fun of your ugly ass cat.
Here's the one you're talking about. The fuck you looking at? He looks like a demon.
God, that's a rough individual. Look at that. What is happening?
What? What the hell are you looking at?
There's no way it's happy. Okay? No, he's smiling at that. No. Mm-mm. That thing wants you dead. Scowling, just fucking, hey, I'm gonna have nightmares. Honey, I don't care what you say. That thing wants me dead.
Damn, that cat is angry, eh? No?
Right? Like, I wouldn't believe a vet if a vet was like, this is as happy as this cat can look.
It's not a demon cat.
I'd be like, that's malpractice. You're fucking lying to me, sir. that cat needs to deal with some trauma. For sure.
You know what? It's the shirt. It's the red shirt.
It is. He's like, why is this fucking shirt on me?
That's a shaven nutsack with ears and face.
I just can't believe it. Ugh, look at that disgusting fucking wretched alien looking fucking God. Just like it looks like you grab me a beer. Let me swing this tail around a little bit, just fucking give me a beer. Other cats don't sit like that, okay? This thing is a mutation of epic proportions. Siamese are cool cats.
Pets reflect their owners, right? Just like children.
Children reflect their owners? You might want to not say that one.
I really don't want to meet that one. Like...
Oh, yeah, for sure. The one battle mod posted, the cat looks like he does it every day. He's posing. He's like, yeah. You got it. Keep snapping them shots, you bet. Look what I got for you. Look what I'm presenting. See this? This is quality, and it's right for you.
Enough is enough.
Freaking thing, which is he's wishing he was dead, He does not want to be alive right now.
He doesn't like that damn shirt. His old lady, I bet his old lady's some big fat girl, and he's like, this fat bitch put a coat on me.
And you know he probably got took to the vet earlier, and they probably just had a bath. And
I see what he's thinking. Get a boyfriend, Patty, and then maybe you'll leave me alone.
God, okay.
Please stop posting that. It's creepy.
Karen, I can smell your cat's rage. Can we do something about this, please? Linda, Karen's cat's going crazy.
Stop looking at the phone, man.
There's his owner.
Oh my god.
Yeah, my cat's my cat's killing people right now. Yeah, send the police. Thank you.
He doesn't even have claws. He's just staring at
calling
people.
the cops because she's calling the cops because someone looked at it wrong, and now it's in a bad mood. And she's like,
There's
my cat.
4 squad members.
I can
over
see
there,
that
so
one
be
saying, "It's ma'am."
Cuatro amigos over there.
That dances after he's just killed that guy.
Of course.
The cat is made of pure elbow skin.
And a bit of Sean scrotum.
A bit of
I don't know what kind of elbows you've got, but my elbows don't have skin.
Shorn scrotum. Shaved scrotum.
Oh, Shorn. Got it. Thought you were saying my name in Brit speak, in fucked up teeth speak.
Yeah. No, I'm Welsh. I'm not one of those English.
Do you have cool teeth? Are your teeth alright?
They're okay. Yeah.
They're okay. All right.
Yeah. I've had them punched in before, so they're a bit cracked. But they're not like all sticking out and wonky.
You're gonna stick with that story then?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Hi, Flatty. What's up, dude?
Good, man. You all okay?
Yeah, I think so.
I was just on the live on the YouTube, and I was listening to. His name was
Jesus Christ.
I think he said he was originally gay feminist, but his name was changed. He was like saying that no one sticks to, like, you go off topic.
Gracias.
And then I logged onto here, and then I think I was behind on the feed. I wanted to know what the outcome was with him.
Oh man, that was a while ago.
Oh, was it? I was really behind.
Yeah, okay. I don't remember. I'm sorry. Somebody else might.
Did he just get angry and disappear?
I can't even comment on that, dude. I'm sorry.
That's no worries.
I saw him messing around, and people were messing around with him, and he was messing back, and then I became indisposed for a few hours. So.
Okay.
Sorry.
There was some nucleus.
Oh, I was there for that.
Nuclear talk just before it. Yeah.
Well, what's so funny is I didn't mean to derail the conversation into that, but isn't that always how it happens? I was just making like a little side comment, and it turned into over an hour of talking about it.
Yeah, it did.
Which I don't care. That's fine. Whatever. We got to talk about something. But yeah, to the point that we have a hard time staying on topic.
It was early.
Well, not only that, the globe is just it's a finite set of presuppositions. It's not like, you know, we're gonna keep finding flaws with it. We found them all. None of them work. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, fuck. What are we gonna talk about now? I don't know.
Yeah. He sounds like the type of person who ought to be spoon-fed.
I like to keep finding little new specific details.
Yeah, and you do. I guess what I'm saying is there is a finite amount to find because it's a quote unquote complete model, right? They think they have an explanation for literally down to the most, you know, infinitesimal bit.
Yeah, where from our point of view, we've got infinite possibilities of finding information or whatever. Because we've started from scratch.
Well, how would you test that and say, hey, I got a million, even just shit, I got a million possibilities. How did you test that?
Yeah, well, no, that's wrong. Wrong speech.
It's quite simple.
How did you test that you're testing that?
Fucking horrible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's one of those, man.
That's fantastic.
But who cares?
Hello?
Yes.
Did anyone hear me? Sorry, it went quiet.
Who killed the airman? What's going on here? I'm eating.
No.
We're talking about cats.
Cats are awesome.
Singles it is.
Well, I
You
can
see
only talk
stars when
in
your teeth get
between.
knocked out.
I can only talk in between my heat runs, and my heat's on right now, so I have to wait till it shuts back off. I might just turn it down so it kicks on less because
You're
only Eric
fine.
gets to talk about it.
Yeah, you're good.
You don't hear that mechanic in the background beating? No, I don't even know how it's picking it up. I seriously don't get it.
Yeah, I have
so
like noise
freaking low.
suppression on, and then it somehow picks up me yelling in the background or yawning.
What do you want, Dragon?
What? I'm just talking.
Interesting.
You guys are assuming stuff about me again.
I'm not assuming shit.
Investigating me.
Dude, I was there for all your bullshit. I already know, man.
What bullshit?
All of it.
I never bullshitted.
Yes, you have not. You're already boring, so.
I'm boring?
I think I'll just mute you.
Hey, Sasha 2.0. Are you there? Is there any glow breathers in here? Come on, guys, don't be shy.
Is it Earth to globe or what's your
Yeah, definitely.
Was anyone around earlier when there was a guy who researched for 2 weeks and he was fully convinced of the flat Earth now?
Sounds like me.
Yeah?
I was convinced in a day.
Yeah, I think I was as well.
You shouldn't be.
You said what?
You shouldn't be.
Well, I was already having conspiracies about the government. So when this dude showed me all the truth, I already knew it was real.
You were having conspiracies. You're having them?
Oh yeah, that sounds weird. Yeah, I said
Sure
that wrong.
does. What do you think? You were researching, maybe?
Yeah, researching, yeah.
There you go.
Look, it is a fact that we all experience a flat and motionless Earth, and this is a direct experience of everybody that's ever lived. But that's not proof. It's just the starting point. Proof would be actually going to test it yourself, which is pretty simple to do. It's not even... A lot of people think that the Earth is too big to measure curvature, but according to the radius that they say the Earth is, it's actually pretty damn easy. It's actually... because it's an exponential curve.
You know, science has a...
It's easy to measure. It's science... Well, it doesn't... Measuring things isn't science.
No, I'm saying modern science, they always have an excuse for everything. Like, let's say you think you don't feel movement, right? They're going to be like, Well, it's gravity.
Well, there's experiments to prove that the Earth doesn't move. So I mean,
well, the thing that popped it on the top for me was just the government. Like if you just told me the Earth was flat without any base claim of why they would lie, then I didn't believe anything. I think I was here before when I was a globe earther. I was laughing.
Why would anybody have to tell you the Earth is flat?
Huh?
Why would anybody have to tell you the Earth is flat?
Because everyone else tells me the Earth is a globe.
Yeah, but if nobody ever said that, you would never reach the conclusion that the Earth was a ball.
Never.
Yeah, because listen, nobody ever woke up and was like, yeah, I'm walking around on a globe. No one ever thought that.
Well, duh.
The crazy Greeks looked up in the sky and said, look at this. I think there's a ball up there. Maybe we're on a ball too. And that's pretty much the entire globe Earth is to look at the sky, presuppose those dots of light, which you can't even see in 3D, are spheres, and then say, I'm also on a sphere, which is logically baseless bullshit. There's no reason to think it because for a simple reason, there's no similarities, right? So when I look up in the sky and I see a bright light, I don't go, man, that looks just like the Earth, man. There's all this similar things. I look up there and I see that there, then I look at Earth and there's the same thing here. No, there's no similarities that we can observe. I mean, so-called planet in a star. We don't observe any similarities. There's no reason to think they're the same. Well, there's no reason to think they're the same. You gotta go by what you experience. Experience a flat and motionless Earth. We know the world is mostly water. You look at the water's obviously flat. But that doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove the Earth is flat because seeing things is inherently subjective. And this is easy to prove because when we build things, right? When we build buildings and build bridges, we use tape measures. We don't just look at the parts and the pieces and start nailing, screwing, and bolting things together because it would be all fucked up. Because we can't just look at things and know the true dimensions. We have to actually measure them. So,
has anyone ever measured the round Earth?
No. That's the thing. When it comes to actually, like I said, we start. The Earth is flat as a starting point. That doesn't mean it's true. It's just a starting point. The way logic works is you start with an axiom. Okay, what's self-evident? What's self-evident about like whatever thing I'm inquiring about? Okay, what's obvious? What's obvious is that the Earth looks flat. That doesn't mean it is flat. It just looks that way. So then you go out and test it. You go out into the world and you say, looks flat. Let's test to see if this flatness is actually there. And we're going to use some sort of objective tool to figure that out.
Well, doesn't that speak for itself? Like if you were on a hot air balloon and then you look down and it was flat, isn't that observation like I mean, your eyes aren't lying to you, right?
Yeah. But it's subjective. I mean, it really is. Because
I've never been on a hot air balloon, but I've been on a plane.
So I'll give you an example. If you draw a parabola on the ground, it looks like an ellipse. But the equation for an ellipse and the equation for parabola are completely different. So if I drew them in a graph paper, I would apply a formula and I could draw each one of them. But so how, when I'm looking at things, which is a different geometry called projective geometry, when I'm looking at things, how can I make an ellipse out of something that's completely different? And it looks that way. How come railroad tracks appear like they converge? So we don't see the world exactly as it really is. It's projected. The 3D world is projected onto our retinas, right? Projected onto the surface of our eye. So it's the 3D world projected onto a 2D surface. That's a subjective opinion. You look at something, it might look flat, but might not actually be flat. The only way to objectively tell is to actually go out into the world and measure the Earth. And it is measurable, even though people will try to convince you the Earth is too big to measure. You do the actual math, it is not too big to measure. It's not even close. I'll give you an example. 30 miles away, I've personally watched a boat 30 miles away sail from 6 miles away out to 30 miles. I know the distance because there's a website called marinetraffic.com that tells you the position of boats out in the ocean and lakes. So I know where the boat is. I watch it for 3.5 hours, sail out to sea. Visual the whole time, never disappeared over the curb, none of that shit. And you do the math, that boat's supposed to be 480 feet below the horizon. Did you zoom in on it? I could see it with my naked eye. My naked eye. And I took a picture with that fucking iPhone, dude.
Can I see it?
An iPhone.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see that picture.
You want to see his naked eye? The iPhone? Or the picture?
No, I want to see
naked iPhone.
I want to see him naked.
iPhone. The point is that a ball of 3,959 mile radius, a boat 30 miles away, supposed to be 470 feet below the horizon. So it's easily testable. That's easily, I mean, can we measure 470 feet? Of course you can. That's easy to measure. That's over a football field.
That is medium-sized building.
Here's where I was. It was. The coordinates.
Airdrop incoming.
Here's the heading. Take one of the iPhone 6. Okay. Not 900s, not some fancy camera. It's nothing.
I like how most people they like to think that the Earth is a tiny, tiny speck compared to the sun, but in reality the sun is smaller than the Earth.
Dude, way smaller.
Dude, I think I got
people think that the Earth is way too big to measure, and it's not even close to the back zone matter. Easily measurable. Easily.
Hey, truth prevails. How are you gonna tell me to mute my mic before I snot around? If Crack Villain does the same thing.
I can't say anything to Crack because he's a moderator and I'm gold. But I am a little. I do have authority enough to ask you to please. I did say please, dude. Look, it's just being respectful.
Just blow your nose instead of sniffing it up back in there.
Yeah, that's nasty, man. Don't be.
If you
want it banned, just say
I
so.
will DM him.
God,
by the way,
you guys are fucking yelling at him. Hey, dude, just go blow your nose and come back. Thanks.
No one's yelling at him.
No, I said as a gold, it's just a word if you want him banned.
Why?
Better idea. How about we stop being his fucking parent and he just figures it out himself?
Right.
Well,
where are your
because I'm not
parents? We want to talk to them.
I'm not standing in
why
front
they
of
raised you so fucked up.
Smack him when he does it.
It's nasty.
My children didn't. They never did that. Like, all I had to do was tell them once when they were like 4, and then they never did it again.
What?
Sniffing and snorting.
I can't even control it. I can't control it.
Yeah, you can. Do you know why?
Because it's out of my nose.
Yeah, but so you sniff on purpose, though, right?
Isn't this sacrifice?
Yes.
Yep.
Bro,
Just
you're
mute
on
your
your
mic
last
before
legs.
you do it.
man.
Dude, that's why I got him muted earlier, man, because it's sacrifice.
Please, just
kick him out. Dude, you don't have to fucking play with this. We know he's a fake ass flat earther, dude. Just
No,
kick
I'm
his ass
not.
out of here.
No, I'm not.
Dude, it's
Now
so
you're in your
obvious. Dude, you
How are
didn't
you
fool
gonna call me a
anybody
fake
from
flat
the
earther?
very beginning. Like, you've never fooled anybody. Not even for a little bit. Like,
Dude, I already
don't-
explained the
just
point.
give up the love.
Explain the points.
Airdrop incoming.
I repeated the script. Why ain't I in the club?
Right? Come on, man, please. Boss, please
Look,
let me
we
in.
can tell you. Listen, why don't you go to the Mexican embassy and say you're Mexican wearing a sombrero? Do that. But I'm
Taco
Mexican. I got the
burrito.
sombrero. I love tacos. I must be Mexican.
Yo, S.A., let me in.
Sí, tacos, güey, tacos.
Enchilada.
What gets in his way is flat earthers think about things a certain way, right? We're empiricists. Right? You're not.
Damn. You're not. Oh, you got muted. Okay.
He's muted? Oh, okay.
Good.
Well, I just think the government said something, and I automatically just believe the opposite because the government said it. That's not true. What the government said, stupidest fucking reason ever. There's certain reasons people come in here like. He also said that, which is a big giveaway. The Earth is flat because NASA lies.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
The Earth is flat because the government says X, Y, Z. No flat earther thinks the Earth is flat because of that.
Nope.
And we don't appreciate you coming in here faking it so people can use straw man fucking nonsense on us. Go join the Flat Earth Society. Where the rest of you fake ass whatevers are.
I think the Flat Earth Society promotes something that's even more ridiculous than the globe model.
Oh, I have someone in my DMs. Mark Zuckerberg wants to talk about the Earth.
I doubt that.
Oh, like for real, man. It's got his picture. It's got to be Mark Zuckerberg. Well, if the other guy's a flat earther, this has to be Mark Zuckerberg.
Right. It is over the computer.
We fact checked this. This is incorrect, or it may leave out some valid information, valuable information was left out. It's been fact checked.
Right.
What kind of chips are those, man?
I'm eating pizza and nachos and cheese.
Nacho chips. All right, gotcha.
Nacho cheese.
Favorite chips and nacho cheese was at hockey games.
My daughters are smart. They said, give us the keys so we can go four-wheel driving, Dad. I said, all right. They left through the field. They burnt my gas out going all the way to town. They brought me back nachos and 2 slices of pizza.
Awesome.
Better than nothing, man.
Dude, that's... you know what? I would pay maybe even up to $25 for that meal right now to be delivered to my door.
I probably did in gas, bro.
Touche, yeah.
They left through the back 40, the left 20.
I don't know what that means.
They went through the trails before they popped out on the road and said, hey, let's go get pizza. They probably, I bet money they got the change out of my cubby. They bought it with all my quarters.
If they knew it was there, that is what they used, yes.
I already know it is.
So were they driving around having fun in the snow?
Yeah. I'm cool. I'm a cool dad.
No, that's cool, man. Yeah, as long as they can handle it.
Well, I put my oldest daughter on my insurance, so fuck it, why not?
She's in the military, right?
Well, she was. She's out now.
Okay.
She came home January 1st. That's why I didn't do anything on New Year's, so I could get up early and go get her. Her and her husband and her kids.
That's awesome, Mike.
Yeah. It's a big house. I don't like it empty.
Totally. You got a lot of people who should fill it, so fill it.
Trying to get my sister to take her old bedroom back from when she was a kid. Her shit's still in there. I got Barbies from the 60s, bro. Well, I don't, because I leave it there, I haven't touched it. My daughter used to. When she was 5, she used to sneak into the other rooms and say, whose toys, Daddy?
Yeah, growing up, my cousins, the girls, always had way more toys than I did, so I'd have to go steal their toys. Barbies from the 60s, though? Man.
Well, my sisters are older than me. I was born in 72. My older sister was born in like 65, 66. Something like that.
I think Barbie was the most popular.
Well, I just meant dollies. I don't know if it's a Barbie.
Okay.
I really, since I was a kid, I haven't been in her room playing with her stuff.
But you see what I mean? The blanket term for it is Barbies.
Mm-hmm. Just a doll. Yeah.
Cindy was another one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Cindy.
Cindy. That might be what it is. It's just it's a stuffed body with a ceramic head.
Watch out. K9 unit incoming.
Yeah, they sew the ceramic head on top of the dolly. And...
Bride of Chucky.
She used to collect them. She's got them little props that stand them up. Got the one in a wedding dress. The other one in a summer dress.
Tea parties.
I bet some of her dolls are probably valuable by now. She told me she didn't want them. I told her, I'll give them to your daughters. I'll have them come out and clean your damn room out then, damn it. I did it to my brother. His son said, check out these ball cards. I was like, yeah, look, there's your dad's first ball. My brother was mad as hell about it. Oh, boy, I forgot that was there. I was like, well, fight with your son over it. I don't know what to tell you. Double dribble.
Hey, can I ask you a question that's not related to flat or round?
Who, me?
No, me. Can I ask? So,
I don't care.
What do I sound like? Like obviously you're aware of how Crack sounds.
Damn.
He's got a very strong, like Southern English, London, Essex accent. But I'm from Wales. Do I sound similar? Because to me, we sound very different here. In
Yeah,
Wales.
you sound different. I was gonna say British, but your accents can change every 15 minutes you drive, so I wouldn't know where.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
we're like America condensed into a tiny little.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a new accent every 20 miles, I'd say.
I haven't talked to. I mean, I've talked to a lot of Brits, but I don't know all. You know, that dialect is from this area.
Well, if he's the southern version of the Brits, then you would be like the northeastern version, right? Like
Me?
with the accents, yeah.
No, I'm Wales, so I'm in line with him. So we're like to the left of England. I'm South Wales.
Well, I didn't mean like I have no clue of your geography. To be honest with you, I'm talking like the Brits. You can compare them to American accents.
Oh, yeah.
Dang old by God, British rednecks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, so you would be to the Brits as someone in the northeastern part of the U.S. would be.
Oh, okay.
To me.
They'd be straddling that there Mason-Dixon line, say.
No, I'd say it's upside down.
I'm a northern. Yeah.
I'd say the south of Britain is like the north of America. And then the southern states of America are like the north of Britain. But everyone in Britain thinks that everyone else is like redneck or, you know, whatever.
So what's wrong with you guys in the letter T?
T?
Yeah, see, you can say
T.
So say what? Now that you said T, say water.
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 See?
Oh, no.
So
See, I say water.
It's a T. Oh,
See,
you don't
I say
go
water. Nah, that's those Londoners. That's Crack and those. Yeah, they struggle with finishing words. I think where I'm from in Wales, it's kind of a neutral. Because you can go deep into Wales and it's very alright, but it's very slow and kind of almost like a southern, like American accent. You know, it's kind of a bit slower and kind of drawn out. Whereas where I'm from, it's I don't know, it's not neutral, because obviously everyone's got an accent compared to someone else, but like, do I sound like I've got a strong accent?
Like I said, if it was like comparative to the U.S. accents, like I'm Southern in the U.S., so you would be to Britain, like in my view, as someone
Yeah.
from the northeastern part of the U.S. would be to me. So I don't know where that would be from or how that would go in Britain.
Because obviously I don't sound like, like the royalty, hello, like the Queen, like that kind of posh person sound. And then, yeah, it's kind of hard to describe, but yeah,
Fucking every time,
I'd say it's like the US but flipped upside down. So the very north of here is Scotland, so they've got the most crazy accent that nobody can understand from anywhere. Quite anyway, I just want to know if to you Americans, do I sound like crack? Do I sound like I'm from London? Obviously the water thing, I can pronounce the T. So I'd say water. Alright, mate. And water. Yeah, it's different there. Anyway, sorry. That was random.
Target down!
Friendly airstrike incoming. Friendly stealth chopper inbound.
Target down.
Hunter killer drone on standby. Hunter killer drone deployed. Heads up. Enemy UAV spotted.
Enemy down!
We're almost there. Keep it up.
Enemy in sight. Target inside!
Enemy UAV spotted. Care package awaiting orders. UAV online.
Enemy contact!
Keep on them. Win this one.
Enemy down! Contact enemy! Everyone down!
Orbital lasers ready. Heads up, team. Enemy UAV spotted.
Enemy contact!
Toll inbound. Deploying orbital laser.
Enemy down!
All right.
Any new people in here? Let's do whoopsie. Nope. Bummer.
Yeah, I heard that combo, and I downed a 20-ounce Red Bull in less than 10 minutes, and now that's gone, and it's like kind of dead combos. And now what? I'm up for
Now
4
you're
hours at
thinking
least.
like, the
Yeah.
fuck?
Like, what do I do now?
All right,
Come
guys,
on,
before
let's do something.
I'm abandoning this one and moving on to the next one. Give me 9. Give me something good. Yep, I knew it. It's gonna give me that one.
So what do you think the very
Have a look
best?
for some Globers.
Very good.
Yeah, you go find some. But what do you think their best argument is? What's the one that they kind of, I don't know, they believe they get us on every time? I suppose they think everything.
Oh boy.
But
That's kind of cool though.
what's
Yeah, they do think everything.
yeah?
They think they think all they got to do is say this doesn't work on a flat Earth. They don't have to show why. They just say it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
and the debate's over. That's what they think, because we can't prove it would.
Yeah.
But we can just prove that the idea that it wouldn't is a false dichotomy because it's based on ignorance. You have no specific reason why it wouldn't work. Just like that dude, he was saying this absolutely couldn't work on a flat earth neutrinos because of the angle of propagation. Because it's pointed downward. But then we find out they're built, the two things are built at varying elevations. One's higher than the other. So if you want to hit it, you obviously would have to point it downward. So it'd work on a level plane with topography. Yeah, it'd work.
Well, wouldn't that be assuming what, like, they just can see the interaction of these things, and they're calling them neutrinos, right? They can't actually see the end. They can see the interaction between them and something else. So it's like, then that would be assuming what they are and where they come from anyway, which they kind of do. Anyway, but
I'm willing to go.
You pay attention well. I've noticed that. You listen to argument once or twice, go read some stuff, and you come back knowing a lot about it. That's how I used to do it. Well, it's how I always do it. Whenever I pay attention when I'm into something I don't know about, and then I'll look into it. I got a notepad. I take notes.
Well, I'm not in it for the argument. I'm in it for the knowledge. So it's like thirsty and
yeah, I just want to look into it to see if it is true. That's like, they don't read our citations, but they can't mention a thing some of us don't read about. I don't know about all of us, but there's a lot of us. The minute they mention something we're not aware of, we start reading about it. I don't mind reading. I read the Bible so many times in my life, it's pitiful. Reading's a good pastime. It's a good way to get ready to go to bed, too.
Yeah, you and me both. I had to step away from it for, well, I didn't know. I didn't know how long I was going to step away from it. I didn't know if it could ever happen. So, the dogmatic indoctrination that I received, and I was in for like 40 years of my life, it actually took good 2 to 3 years before I started emerging out of the spiritual crisis that I was in.
Yeah. Makes you wonder why they say, stay in the Word, brother. Right?
Yep, exactly.
It'll all be okay. Just stay in the Word. I won't even get into it. I was going to make a comment about people down there in that religious lobby, but it doesn't even really matter. So when I took a break from it, when I went into the Corps, so. And when you
what the fuck?
Start getting into diesel mechanics, structural engineering, mechanical engineering, reading becomes a great pastime. Because you have to do a lot of it. Especially when it already was. When I was in the desert, if I had spare time, I actually read a lot of Dean Koontz and Stephen King. Take a trip and never leave the tent.
My problem is when it comes to science and, well, like things like electricity, photons, down to the when you get to the quantum physics, stuff like that. It's like my problem is I was trained in like this is one of those things that it's hard to change. Once you're trained in and programmed in a way that your brain is used to learning through lecture type settings where you can engage with the instructor, ask questions, and then build off of one another, like his responses to other students. And once you learn how to, your brain gets trained to learn that way, it's really hard to take raw information that you don't know anything about and start from the ground work your way up by yourself. I mean,
Yeah, you have to
like-
research stuff you don't understand, and if you have a question you would ask the instructor, you have to ask Google. Yeah, I know.
No. It's like, no, I usually ask people like Cyrus or you or
See,
so people that I know that are
when I get into stuff I don't know, then
experienced.
it mentions the process I don't know, and then I look into the process. I can end up 4 stages away from an article and have to back up and go back to the article and forget it. Finish reading once I feel like I properly understand that process. That's my problem. I'll have 12 pages open just trying to read one article on certain things,
If the Academy ever took off, it would be a lot of weight and a lot of burden on the people who are very knowledgeable about this stuff, or especially when I'm around, because yeah, there's some things that I can teach the newcomers that come in, but for the most part, if there's anyone that's experienced and really educated in some of this stuff, like I would be right there in their face all the time using their time. It's like it would be a big burden on the people who, the people who are experienced and educated in these fields. However, it's like eventually, once someone learns, if they really want to learn, once they learn about it, then they're able to teach someone else. As long as they're honest and they only teach the things that they know.
Yep.
Friendly airstrike incoming.
You've got to be ready to learn, I think. Like school, I was rubbish in school. I didn't listen. In fact, I don't think I read a whole book all the way through until I was in my mid-20s. I was not interested in reading books because school, the way how strict they were and how just... I think I knew from an early age that the whole school system was fucked, And it just put me off for anything. And what annoys me now is the mathematics side of it. Really? It's like I've got no understanding. It's like I'm looking at like Chinese writing. And because my teachers were just so horrible, like in the 90s, it was, I don't know if it was like that for you guys, but it was a real, if you're not remembering and regurgitating the shit how they want it, then they don't want to help you understand it. That's how it was with us. It was,
Thankfully,
so
when I was in high school and I was taking mathematics, thankfully then they hadn't started with all these new ways and methods, right? You actually could learn an actual method that was going to teach you how to apply critical thinking to a future solution without having the equation, right? So you could look at it and like they break it down and teach you when, like the logic of it, like when is this equation appropriate? Like, and if you don't have all the information to get the equation, then how can you find like what, then you put it into a word problem. So when you put it into a word problem, certain words mean certain things, like what would be the equal sign, and of is like multiply, and like different words. Once you learn these things, so thankfully when I was in school, they still part of the teaching, and I don't even know if it was the curriculum or if it was just my teacher, but my teacher he was like a friend, father figure. I mean, we smoked weed, and he was like the school football coach too. So every time I'd get in a fight and get put in these little wooden boxes or whatever, and have to stay in these wooden boxes all day, and the room that these boxes were in had a bathroom, so you didn't even get to leave to go use the restroom, and they brought your food to you, so it's like jail. I stayed in those things. So luckily he would come and get me out anytime I'd get put in there, and then I just sat in his classroom all day. So I was like in a math class all day long. The only problem was it was always algebra.
Okay, but he sounds like he was cool.
Algebra, yeah, and advanced algebra, which now he was freaking smart, man. Look, he was going to go, what was it, a mathematician, I think is the highest level that you can get. He had made it every level except for that. That was the next level, and then he would have conquered mathematics. Right? You can't get any higher than a mathematician in accreditation. So he took the test, he failed it, took it again, he failed it, and when he failed it the third time, he just, accepted the fact that that's the best that he could do. Then he explained to me the difference between ignorance and it's like when you're ignorant, you just don't know the information, but when you're stupid, you can't learn it. So he found out what his level of stupidity in mathematics were.
Yeah, everyone's got that level. Mine's very low.
The point I was trying to make about him, that I'm very thankful for him, though, is that he taught me is to apply critical thinking so that whatever the problem is, it's like, if you look at the kind of problems that you have and you can identify what type of solution you're looking for, you can just look at the data you've got and you can figure out how to, arrive at your answer.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. The system, I feel like it really excludes exploring. It's more like just regurgitate this information. Definitely. And that's boring, and that's really boring to a lot of people, I think. And so you either tune out, or you buy in completely. I don't know which one's worse.
It's a crime against intelligence for a student in school to be presented with a problem, and because they use a different method to arrive to the solution, even though they have the correct answer, to count it wrong. So if they have a proper way and an accurate way of coming up with the answer, then it should be recognized. But the fact that they want them to all conform to this one method, which it's like there's some stupid ass methods that they've got nowadays. But anyway.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the new methods of like of math and all that.
So it's just some of the shit that I've seen in the past, say, 10 years, I guess.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It makes it so much more complicated. I tried to help my nephew with his homework once, and I was like, I know how to do like long division and all that or whatever, but this is not this way. Like this way, it was just very, very strange.
I noticed one method that when one of my kids was around like 8 years old in school, they would, how like a very basic person who can't work out anything in their head, and if it was like 20 plus 30, they'd have them draw 20 little shapes and then 30 little shapes and then count them all. And they saw that as like a breakthrough kind of way of teaching kids. And
maybe in kindergarten.
Yeah, I know, but this was like, I don't know, this is junior school here. I don't know what that translates to in America.
That's just utterly ridiculous.
Yeah,
and I feel like if they change it every like 20 years or 15 years or so, it even further like isolates children from their parents because their parents can't even help them with their homework and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Like BODMAS was a word that I heard. I don't know if but I think it stands for brackets something. So you work out what's in the brackets first.
Yeah.
Whatever O is, But they just threw that word out when we'd go to like parent-teacher meetings, and they'd say, "Yeah, we're using the BOD," as if we knew what that acronym was, or whatever you'd call it.
Right.
So there was like that, that division between like the teacher kids and then the parents. It's like, we're teaching them this. You don't need to know what it is.
And one result is like in the eyes of the students, the parents are like, "Man, my parents are stupid. They don't even know math," kind of thing. It's just another little tiny way of just furthering that divide,
Yeah. I took both my kids out of school, and what I found is with things like math and things is when it's one-on-one and you're in the house, and we half followed the curriculum at first, then half kind of tried practice like critical thinking, like teaching them critical thinking. And I found that the math and the school stuff we could do in half an hour, like a week's worth of their work, and the kids would understand because it was the one-on-one, like my wife or myself with one of the kids. But in school, it seems like they would take a week because it's so, I don't know, maybe distracted in school. Like you just learn snippets, or they make you just regurgitate the same crap over and over and over and over and over till you remember it. So we'd do an hour of maths, and it would cover the week, and then we would just do other stuff, and then we go back the next week and try them on the stuff we taught them the week before, and they'd know it. You know?
Yeah, I feel like that's the only way now is people getting back to that, community, teaching of the children outside of the schools. And it's the only way until they get better.
Well, I mean, it only makes sense because the parents can't teach the children. The curriculum requires a method that the parents don't know. Then they can't take the information and the knowledge that the parents have, that the elders of society have, and build upon it with the younger generation. So it makes sense, because who was it that said they don't want a nation of thinkers? They want a nation of workers.
Yeah, exactly.
How do in the US? How is it with like the grades? Because over here we have like high school, kind of the end of high school, or comprehensive we call it. You have GCSEs grades, and then you go yeah, then you do A.
All mine are graduated from college, so.
Yeah, because one of my sons was in secondary in like high school when we took them out, and all the teachers are trying to dissuade us from doing it. They were like, "No, he's got to pass these GCSE exams. These exams so important." And
yeah, I think a lot of that's nonsense. I think at least here you can just get like a GED, which is kind of a test that's kind of outside the school system.
Yeah, he didn't even need that because he's in college now, and everyone was saying he's not going to get into college. He hasn't got, like, he's so brainwashing to people that he needed these certain exam results. And we went to the college and they talked to him for 10 minutes and they said, "Oh yeah, we can see he's a pretty bright kid. Yeah, he's accepted in." You know,
Yeah,
no qualifications or nothing. It's like, oh, okay, so that was all a lie. You know?
Yeah. Oh, and maybe the teachers think it is important. Maybe some of them,
Yeah. It's that compartmentalized thing that,
totally. And I think a lot of a lot of the teachers, they get bonuses. They're tied into some of those test scores and things like that. So they have an incentive to, push this particular curriculum.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But recently we were talking to friends because we still kind of looked in on the curriculum to see, you can buy the same books the teachers buy from online from different places, like the same places the school buy them from. And for the last, I don't know, so the beginning of this flu thing that's been going around, they just completely disbanded the curriculum. And now in school, the teachers, we got friends with teachers, and they say, we're just making up stuff. We're just like grabbing stuff from anywhere because there's no official curriculum anymore. So I don't know what they're doing with schools in the UK, because they're not following anything now. Teachers are like, we just go in and we just make up, it's up to us, which in a way I think is quite good, because some of our friends are quite kind of switched on to things. So they're like, really want to help kids learn and bridge the gap between parents and kids. Yeah. So, but like, what are they doing now? Is there a big change coming to like the school system? Because it's really weird. Normally it's like every 4 years or something, they'll find a new curriculum or jig the curriculum a bit to work better. But now the teachers are saying it's really strange. They're just like, just teach what you know. It's weird. Great reset, maybe.
Yeah, and here it's really hard to put your finger on it because it's so different state to state, and even, city to city within the state. There's so many different programs.
Yeah.
There's almost no uniformity across even county lines, really, as far as education goes.
Like in the UK, I don't know how familiar there's Scotland, England, Wales, and Northern Ireland that make up the UK. And it's pretty much all the same place, apart from some things like education. The Welsh is different to the English, or they're the same and Scotland's different. So it's a little bit like, I suppose, you could see the UK as a one state of the US, but then maybe a couple of different counties do a couple of different things, slightly different.
Yeah,
quite confusing.
and this whole last few years really brought out, in my mind at least, the importance of the states being different. I mean, the policies are so different. 2 mile drive and you're in a different world as far as like restrictions and things like that.
Yeah, and it seems like there's some amazing, like, I don't know who's in charge of a county.
Like a little group. Well, again, each state it's different. Each state has its own constitution.
Yeah.
So,
is it true that the sheriff is the highest post in a county, and that position overrides like anything? I've heard that.
I think it's usually the attorney
law
general.
Enforcement. No, county sheriff over trumps the chief of police and the prosecuting attorney of a county or district.
So it's to do with law rather than
Yeah. Well, the attorney general can be arrested by the county sheriff. He's the appointed official over law enforcement. The chief of police are usually for a city's owned or township.
And also the sheriff overrides any federal control or whatever.
Well, he can.
Can the sheriff initiate the arrest, or does it have to be like issued by someone else? I mean, I actually don't know the answer.
What, for the attorney general?
Well, when we're talking about like the sheriff arresting, say that
anybody he suspects and has articulate reasons to suspect of committing a crime for an arrestable offense, he can arrest in his county. Yeah,
I find that awesome because we don't have that in the UK. We have to.
That includes the mayor.
Yeah, and there were plenty of instances here where states would try to impose like a restriction, and the sheriff would go online and say, "Well, we're not going to enforce that."
Yeah,
I can show you courtroom gone wrong videos where judges got pulled over and arrested for drunk driving, mayors got arrested for drunk driving by a county sheriff, and they actually had to call a county sheriff or a state police officer. And state can over trump county because they are the head of the state.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but in a given county, the county sheriff is the head of the county. But he can invoke the state police to come in too, You can call them.
It depends how corrupt.
I think it's different from state to state as well.
Yeah.
But that's
our only hope here.
You're right, yeah.
We have to kind of we're all learning about like common law stuff, which I think is the same with you guys, isn't it?
This is common law. Yeah, this is common law. Yep.
Yeah. And how it's we've just been blinded by like false rules and things and.
Well, like mandates.
Yeah, government overreach, federal
ordinances.
And people realizing, like, who's in charge? Like,
they're not really overreaching when they give you an ordinance and you follow it, even though it's a zoning ordinance. Or just
but people just blindly follow. I guess that's one of the things of school is just to indoctrinate into following authority. Like, listen to that teacher, they're the boss, and then the headmaster or the principal is the boss of the boss. So they're even more important. And then
sadly something has to go like horribly wrong before people, actually learn. Wait, what do you mean? There's a board of supervisors that makes that decision,
Yeah. Yeah.
And see, this is why I have always said since day one, like, if people want to make a difference, like they've always asked, this has always been a question, like, how can we make a difference? What can we do? How can we reach the most people? Where can I make the biggest difference? And this is why I've always said, locally, where you live, where you're at now, waking as many people up there that you can. Get at least a handful. Look, I've even gotten at least a handful. Right, I would definitely be doing a lot more. However, there are a couple individuals that have at least listened and kind of agreed. One was like, pretty much saying that it didn't matter to him. He didn't really care because he was more religious than anything. He cared only about the spirituality. He didn't care about the shape of the earth, even though he agreed that according to his religion, the earth, is said to be flat. So at least he is onto that. But back to the original point that I was trying to make, like where you can make a difference. It's why I've always said that it's locally. Because if you get your local sheriff, your local city council members woke to a lot of this shit, the propaganda won't get past them as easy. Right? And then once they have something that they can dig their teeth into, that they can question shit about, and they can see the deception and lies there in that one area, then it's a lot easier for them to question, other things. So, I mean, it's like if you can get your local council members, especially your sheriff, like sheriff is the key, man. He's the key for everything, like what Batman was saying about the sheriff. Like all of that is the reason why he's key. It doesn't matter what the federal government wants to do if none of the sheriffs are going to back them.
Right. And I think a lot of people aren't aware, and maybe it's different per state, but like a state senator here is almost like a part-time job. Like it's the salary's not, I don't think it's very substantial. So a lot of these people, they fold easy because, there's not, it's not like it's very different from being, a U.S. senator or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know
Also,
what we have here. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, not just your sheriff, but if you can do things locally to change people or to wake them up, then you can actually make effectual changes within the school board. So then you could start changing the education system, but it has to be done at every level locally first.
Yeah, beyond members of board councils and showing up at meetings and all that stuff.
You can't just go to the top and then start, getting a megaphone and proclaiming to everything down the ladder and expect them to listen, unless you get some people on the way up the ladder to stand there with you, right? So you've got to start at the bottom and work your way up. I'm not saying this because I know, because I've done it. I haven't changed any. I haven't made any changes in the world. I haven't went out here and woken up a county or a town or anything. But I mean, logically thinking, that's the only way you're going to do it.
Well, that's the thing about state sheriffs and county police. If they have articulate cause, they may answer to the attorney general, but they can arrest his ass if they can build a case. They have the authority to arrest any lawbreaker.
And that's your line of defense, too, for unconstitutional.
Yeah, and so they have at least in Michigan. So, yes, they have a boss, but they actually have authority over their bosses in the law. If their legality is correct, and they got an articulate reason to believe this person committed a crime and or evidence, because they're not qualified to make a legal determination. They can have you at the murder scene with the murder weapon, and they can't say you're guilty, but that's articulate evidence and probable cause. You're going to jail, They're
Never
just not.
trust the criminal justice system. Never trust it, and never engage with it unless you have a lot of money and someone that you can pay to go. And unless you can really articulate the shit and know it well, but I don't. So if you're maybe Indio or ISA, someone like that, maybe you could, but I'm neither of those, and I don't have half the knowledge they do. So
the common law guys, the common law guys that just know all the old laws.
Ecclesiastical law and common law, there's
like
maritime law,
You say, I'm the man, the flesh, the living body. I'm not the capitalized names that that kind of.
You've got to understand. You got to understand the system, the structure, and you've got to understand their language and what's applicable and when.
That's that sovereign citizen movement, and they don't know that you can't You can't be a citizen and be sovereign. But what you're saying,
you can't play the game, but not play the game.
By law, whoever creates a thing, rules over it and makes the rules over it, and they own it. So if you're a citizen, you belong to a legal fiction called a state. But who made men? God made man, and he gave him law, ecclesiastical law. That's why most Jewish lawyers are still ecclesiastical lawyers. And our courts were ecclesiastical courts. So even though the government's supposed to stay separate from religion, isn't it funny that their law is founded on religious law, Ecclesiastics and Leviticus, ecclesiastical law, straight from the Bible.
You swear on the Bible, or made to swear on the Bible when you're in court.
Yeah, and government separate from religion. It can't happen. Especially when our Constitution or Declaration are straight up ecclesiastical. They come straight from ecclesiastical doctrines of people like Thomas Hobbes. Read Thomas Hobbes on Man on Leviathan. This is a commonwealth, a legal fiction. And a commonwealth is an agreement between all men that is supposed to be beneficial for both sides. The people who police the law and the people who allow the law to be policed. So when it no longer becomes beneficial, it goes back to contractual law. If you feel that the law is no longer, legal, valid, or beneficial on both sides, then it's no longer legal and you can just enter out of it. You can opt right out of it. Not be part of the commonwealth. A commonwealth, it's in the name common. There should be wealth for everybody. So this contract is supposed to be beneficial for all people. And when it's not, it's unjust. It's unbalanced. That's why if you notice Lady Liberty, her scales are tilted to one side, right? You know why? Because the government holds all the power. And we're in an unjust contract. But we still follow it. Contracts are made against men that God created heaven and earth and man. He put man on earth. He said, be fruitful and multiply. Go out and reproduce and subdue earth and have dominion over. All men are kings. They're all supposed to have their own piece of land that they subdued and they own through first seizure right. Our family sees this when we reproduced it coming out of the garden. And we took this and we took care of it. We've lived here and died here. We belong to the land as much as the land belongs to us. Our blood, flesh, and tears and sweat is in this land. It's part of this land. So
I just want to inform everyone, too, since we're on this topic. Like when you sign your driver's license, there is a thing like, the U.D, or you can sign it and under your name, put under duress. But now you can't even do that because they crop that shit out. They don't put it on your driver's license. All they put is your name. Because I've done that, and the last driver's license I had made, they cropped it out. So totally just took my signature of my name and cropped it under duress out.
They try to fool you into there's no way out of the Commonwealth, but the truth is, you just declare it unjust. I'm a man, I say this is unjust. It's no longer beneficial for me, but it's beneficial for you. So it's not beneficial for the trustee and the trustor. Only the trustee is beneficial for those who operate over it, under the law, Those who the law is imposed on, it's no longer beneficial for. So it's unjust. And by universal law, that makes it null and void. Universal law is ecclesiastical law or God's law, the law of nature. And a lot of the older guys that they call scientists, Aristophanes, Thomas Hobbes, William Herschel, a lot of these guys all have their own entomology on universal law. They watch the animals, they watch life, death, they watch the vegetation. They took natural law straight from the life of what they see in this creation, And they didn't consider it a law of science. They considered it, attempting to understand the great book of God's creation and the laws that rule it. And so the same laws that rule nature rule man. This is the concept. And that's ecclesiastical law. Like life and death. You live and then you die. If you create a thing, you rule over it, you own it, you're lord of it. Just like a king, he's just a landlord over a kingdom.
However, he has to abide by his own decree. And he could not remain king if he doesn't. So this is where the deception and everything comes if someone don't hold him to
it. The king bows down to the papacy. So the Pope said, in the name of God, he's Christ on earth. He's the vicar of Christ. He owns this realm and all the land in it. And he's the landlord of everything. The Pope gets a percent of everything. The Silk Road. Read the story of the Silk Road. So they owned a road that was a trade route, and they taxed every people that went, anything that moved on there. Well, every road nowadays that moves anything, they get a percentage of that tax. Don't think America doesn't pay the papacy. There's papal decrees that they own all the world. That's what they say. They wrote it on paper, and they think because people, comply with it.
That's why the sun never sets on that kingdom.
Exactly.
Because it stretches across the entirety of the earth.
Yeah, and it's gaining in profit every moment. So it's like 7-Eleven, 24/7, Oh, you come to Quickie Mart. You got to give the Pope his due. 4 cents on the dollar, please. Thank you.
And it's pretty telling, too, when you see the people that everyone sees and thinks of as the leaders of the world, which you have to be at least diet woke to even consider these guys the leaders of the world. Or you think Putin and Biden and freaking Angela Merkel are leaders of the world, right? But if you're diet woke, then you know that they're not, and you think that Rockefeller and Rothschilds are. But who do they bow down to? Whose feet and whose hand do they kiss?
Exactly.
No one's.
I can show
the
you.
Pope actually kisses their feet.
The Black Pope.
Our battle's not against man,
The armed Amdorini Vatican family. So they're the largest mafia in the world. But I could show you court documents from treaty cases in Canada where they reference universal law and their owners, and all the Rothschilds are mentioned. The Illuminati in their corporate name is in the documents. It's a PDF. It's about they're fighting over the treaty. The treaty is up in Canada. So my grandfather is a chieftain bloodline, so he's on the council. So he goes to court with them over the treaty, and they argue over it. They've been arguing it since 2000. When they said the world was going to end, well, that's when the treaties started. All the treaties were up. Not all of them up, but systematically, So Canada's treaties were signed first, they're up first. And then next will come Michigan, and it'll streamline. The Philippines, their treaties have been up. They've been free for a long time. So they made treaties. The Queen went around the world. She made treaties with all the Occidental people, or the First Nations people. And that's how she owns her land, and she gets a percent of them. But she answers to the Rothschilds, and the Rothschilds answer to the Vatican family. And family, that's mafia just means the family. La familia.
Actually, the Pope bows down to and kisses the feet in the hands of the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. Now, every other so-called leader of the illusionary free world, right, because it is an illusion, bow down to the Pope and kiss his feet and kiss his hand. But
the Rothschilds are above kings and queens, yeah.
The Rothschilds and Rockefellers, you'll never see the ones that and they're not at the top, right? There's two of them. They can't be at the top if there's two of them.
That's the Black Pope.
Right. If you know who they are, they're not the top.
This PDF names them all because they're the owners of the treaties. They're the ones we have in court. They're the ones we're fighting against, or their representatives.
Did you say the Black Pope was?
Oh man, I'd have to break the PDF out and look through it again, but it mentions him by name.
That would be some gravy. That would be like the Keebler Elf cracker right there. It's not a saltine. That's a Keebler. No, I'm just playing.
Well, I posted it. a few times, but only so many people listen, even hear me on it. So I quit posting it. Now I gotta go dig it up again. It's in my uploads.
Don't worry about it. It'll.
Oh no, I'll find it. It's right. It's easy to find the page that names the Black Pope, the Vatican family, all that.
It's not like that information can profit me any. It's not like I'm going to be able to, do anything to it's.
Well, it makes that Illuminati rule the world, kings rule the world. It makes that not a conspiracy, because here they are in court trying to still own the land and the natives. It's not a conspiracy.
Well, I mean, a conspiracy being where two or more agree on an agenda to commit a crime. It's like it is a conspiracy, but I know what you mean when you say it's not.
They conspire. Yeah, they conspired, but we don't have a conspiracy about it.
It's not a
just
theory.
A reality, right? Right. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a reality.
Conspiracy fact.
Was it Adolfo Nicholas?
No, I don't think so. It doesn't sound familiar.
Or Arturo Abascal?
If you just give me a minute, I'll find it. I gotta look. Man, my uploads or my downloads are full. I got a lot of PDFs.
Don't worry about it. When you come across it again, or if you think of it, just damn it. It's like it doesn't really matter.
I'm already looking for it. I'm gonna find it.
Is it the PDF? Is it from Matthew 24 or
no? It's from a treaty trial, dude, in Canada. It's court records. I told you my grandfather is a full-blooded Ojibwe native. He's Anishinaabe. He's of chieftain bloodline, and he's on the council of elders. So he's in court right now arguing about the treaty.
Word, okay.
Oh shit! Wait, I remember you posting that a long time ago, and that's I'm not going to have it though because I've had to wipe both my laptops.
Oh yeah, I gave you the PDF once, didn't I?
Yeah, but I don't have it. I lost everything.
Yeah.
Unless I've got a server that I use for like a filing cabinet, so unless it's there, I might have it in there.
Oh, fuck, I'm almost to it now. I know I am. Just a lot of scrolling with my middle finger on the mouse.
Can you share that though, Mike, when you find it?
Yeah, I'll share it. I'm going to put it right in live stream. Okay, it's Thomas Hobbes. So you got to find a group of
Treaty of Verona. Is it the Treaty of Verona? It's a different one.
No, it's not the Treaty of Verona. The Treaty of Verona is something me and Iggs was discussing, and that's those are it's like a declaration. It's a royal decree where two royalties sign a treaty. You should read up on the Treaty of Verona, though. It applies to our world right now. A lot of that stuff in that treaty rules our law. It's just 6 years I've been doing it on this computer, so fuck, I got thousands of PDFs, dude.
You said Verona with a V.
Verona, Verona.
Okay. I thought you said that.
Here we go.
The COR one. Or yeah.
I'll upload that Treaty of Verona. I got a link here.
Oh, nice one.
So the first page that comes up on this PDF when you open it, it'll have stuff and highlights. Damn it, what is that attachment crap? Here, I can share this. I know I can. Let me look at the numbers again. Four, 5, 7, 1, 3, 2, 8. So that should be it. If it's not, let me know. It should show up with a big eagle on the first page and things in blue highlight.
Yeah, I see that. You posted 2 links. The first one I opened, and it had the big eagle, and there was some blue highlight, little.
Yeah,
way
the
down.
name
Yeah.
of the Black Pope should be right there in that.
Awesome.
Count Hans Kolbenbach. So this is the document that they're, the panel of elders, council of elders is filed. It's a response to them saying we owe them money for rent. You can't charge us rent for our own damn land, See, primary tax issuer debtor chairman, DBA Nathan Charles Jacob Rothschild. I can scroll through here and show you who the Queen bows down to, because it says the Queen and her masters. Her masters are Rothschilds, the Queen of England. These are the 3 kings or the 3 frogs of Revelations, whatever way you want to look at it. Church land banks of captured and baptized souls at sea. This is a legal document. Pope Benedict, let's see, the 16th, Joseph Ratzinger, DBA, Joseph Ratzinger, the White Pope, and Khazarian General, Count Hans Kovendick, DBA. Where the hell does it say the Black Pope there?
What you said then about souls captured at sea, is that a similar thing to that thing they did in London after
This is what I'm saying, that we're
all men are lost at sea.
When the church baptizes a soul, they've captured it. It's lost at sea, and we're under maritime law.
Yeah.
Thomas Hobbes covers this in Leviathan, man being the creature of the deep, man being Leviathan. And then it says Black Pope. You see that? Black Pope. It says Khazarian General Count Hans Kolvenbach, DBA Hans Kolvenbach, Black Pope. The names for you, the Pope Benedictus, the White Pope, and the Black Pope. And this is a claim of forfeit. But then if you go down through the PDF, we charge them with war crimes against their tenants, which are the original people, the inheritance, the accidental owners of the land.
I want to be the Rainbow Pope. Pope for all people.
Oh, what is this one?
Green Pope's big on the climate change stuff.
So the one I posted is that's the U.S. patent for COVID. Damn it. I posted the wrong one, didn't